Nice.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. It's time for the Comics Aficionados. I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. You're ready for Halloween. Got a lot of things going on with the comic books, comic movies, and all that stuff. And I have a special mystery guest returning to the channel for the first time. We have, where is it? Perch.
Woo, Perch.
Hey, you guys are all disappointed now, right?
Not at all.
I wanted it to be Megan Fitzmartin or Stephanie Phillips or one of the other generic paint by number Stephanies in the comic industry, but I'll settle for you, sir.
I have missed Doc so much. I haven't washed my ass in months. It's great to see you, Doc.
Perchy doesn't say it anymore. How disappointing is that?
That's disappointing for me.
That's why comics suck now, because Doc doesn't say wash your ass at the end of each show.
Oh, Jesus.
I missed y'all. It's been good to be back.
So Perch, we've been beefing for a while now. What happened? Why are we beefing?
I don't know. I was told I was banned from your channel. People ask me about it constantly. I don't know. I haven't done live streams in 10 months, so this is the first one in a long time.
Yeah, you were banned.
I don't know. They think I'm making funny with little faces on the thumbnails.
You can make fun of me with that all you want. That stuff draws in views.
You're right.
People want to have an identifiable emotional reaction from something on your thumbnail.
It's true. Nope, those videos do better numbers for me, but YouTube still owes me money, so pay me, YouTube.
YouTube owes you money? I had that problem for like 8 months. They never
so much. Pay me, YouTube.
Well, that's too bad. I will talk to you about that after the show. So what's going on Comics by Perch? If people haven't been checking out the channel, what should they be looking
Quality's gone down. Content's pretty repetitive. That's about it. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, I'm glad to have you back. We got some exciting comic book stuff to talk about today. Also with us is Jim from Weird Science. How you doing, Jim?
Lovely. Thanks for having me again, Wes. Thanks, everybody here.
How many hours of podcast are you going to do this week? Is it 12 hours of podcast?
No, I think probably about 28. I think
28 hours of podcast.
Actually, there's like 17 regular feed shows, and I think on our Patreon about 50 others. I think this week it's set up. It's about right.
Wow. Man,
what else are you going to do? Deal with your family? I mean, seriously.
You got the right idea. That's why I do the channel, just to give you a reason to not not pay attention to the kids.
That's what I do. And they still try to get involved. They're yelling down like make dinner, stuff like that. It gets annoying, right?
Yeah, fuck them kids. They don't need to eat.
Yeah, really.
No eat. No one's stopping you.
Yeah, they know how to cook. We have a microwave.
When I came home and told my mom that I was hungry in like 4th grade, she's like, "There's the box of macaroni. Make that shit yourself."
Peanut butter and jelly.
Very nice. Who else we got here? We got the Sultan of Soup himself, Eric O'Sullivan. How you doing here?
I am wicked pissa, as we say here in Boston, Massachusetts.
Very nice.
Wicked happy to be on with Perch. I love all the rest of you guys, but I'm Perch. I watch you all the time, man. You and Wes, you're my favorite comics people on YouTube, besides myself, of course. But I love your channel, man.
Well, your taste in West is good anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much. I'm actually thrilled. Right after this, we're doing a live chat and meetup again in Boston. We're going to see Black Adam on IMAX. We're going to have a very wet lunch, fajitas and margaritas, and then 3:00 IMAX. We're going to be crocked and watch a crappy superhero movie.
So wet lunch means that you're going to get pissed drunk?
Well, I have a 3 margarita minimum at this event.
Oh, good for you. I like you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll buy you a beer someday, bro.
Oh, so you're going for Mexican food before?
Hell yeah.
That's gonna be dope,
dude. Yeah, we there's 8 of us, and we all met up in the live chat. So to the live chat, this is one of the best live chats in the biz right here on Saturday mornings here. And if you're local to each other, make connections, meet in real life, make new friends. This is social media. This is the social part of it. So please, I mean, I'm going to be tweeting pictures the rest of the day with these cats. It's going to be fun.
Are you going to a theater that serves margaritas itself, though?
They serve beer now.
Very nice.
Yeah, we're not talking about no paper cup. We're talking about a glass.
Classy.
Ooh. Perch, does your theater serves beer in a cup, doesn't it?
No. You can get in a glass. You have classy beer in Texas.
Yeah, I used to go to the Alamo Draft House all the time. That place was dope.
That place is great. Yeah.
Those places. Yeah.
Always like that one. Who else we got? We got Josh, the DC aficionado himself. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing well, Wes. I Perch is here, and it's interesting because I feel like Perch is someone that I know really well, even though we've never really had one-on-one conversations. But it's because I listen to his videos all the time, and then I talk to Joe like at least a minimum once a week for like an hour and a half, and usually a good 20 to 30 minutes.
Said.
I know, and usually a good 20 to 30 minutes of that is like, well, Perch and I are blah 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 blah. We're thinking of this. We're working on this. So I feel like I know Perch. I feel like Perch is the dad that left to go get milk and never came back.
That checks out. Yeah.
There we go. Other than that, I'm good. I'm happy to be here. I was going to say I'm happy to talk comics, but old comics, sure.
Josh, did you notice that once you became a regular on the channel, Perch never showed up again?
I know.
It's not me, it's you.
Look, he moved to Texas, and I'm just going to say, like, I have some lethal freaking farts. So he's like, this guy, screw him.
Not Texas representation.
I got nothing for that.
No beans in your chili either.
There are so many Arby's down here in Texas, man. It's just
You're so
poisoning the
blessed, man.
entire universe.
Yeah, but you got
man, I miss
Whataburger,
Arby's.
so fuck you. I'm jealous.
Yeah, Whataburger's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but they sold to
Chicken
the
strips.
Yankees, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we do have Doc, the man that recently gave up comic books for good. How you doing, Doc?
I only gave up buying new comic
New comics.
books. Now,
Or new comics.
whenever you force me to read something terrible for worst of the week, I'll do it. I mean, it just won't involve me taking any money out of my wallet, because I don't give bad comics money anymore, and most comics are bad these days. So yeah, I mean, hey, it's great to be back, and I'm perfectly happy to spend my money elsewhere. I can
Like
think
a Black
of
Adam?
No.
Rock. Franchise
Yeah,
Viagra?
I know it's franchise Viagra doing. I mean, and if there's any franchise that needs Viagra, it's the DCEU. So maybe I don't know. I might see it eventually, but I just can't bring myself to give a fuck about any of this new stuff anymore. Now it's great to be back. I mean, I'm here every week, so I guess.
Sounds like people are excited that Perch is in the house and he brought his Arby's hating like lackeys with him. What are you doing?
It never goes away.
Arby's is delicious.
I mean, we started the show, Wes, with you saying it seems like you and I have a beef, and I was expecting like an Arby's like
Where's the beef?
punathon. Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
The little Arby's
There's a clue.
was it French dip?
It's terrible. People keep sending me the ads for this bourbon that they've got. That this is going to
Arby's
swing me
flavored
over.
bourbon?
Yeah. And why would you do
Sounds
that? You got good quality alcohol, and you're going to infuse it with like sewer water. I mean, why would you? Why would you do such a thing to good alcohol?
The only thing that would be better than like Arby's flavored bourbon would be like Arby's flavored toothpaste. You know what I mean?
Oh God,
When you're
Delicious.
cleaning your mouth out, it tastes delicious.
that's yeah.
Arby's flavored
Disgusting.
flavored bourbon might make bourbon fucking tolerable. Can't stand bourbon.
We
Or
got a
any-
couple of super chats we'll get through. We'll get right into the first topic. Lade Kramer. Oh my God, Perch Mania is running wild. Oh, and Doc's here too.
Yeah, I miss Lane.
And I'm just happy it's not going to be the Doc is Right show. Everyone keeps saying that. They won't stop now. Thankfully, we have an adult in the room in Perch that's going to be able to shout Doc out. Be like, you're an idiot.
Who's the adult again?
Absolutely you.
Oh,
You're the most functional person in this family. Let's just put it that way.
that's a bold lie.
Jim's got 8 kids and he ignores all of them.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Every one of them. I said I have 8 kids and I ignore all 5 of them.
Perfect.
Who else? We got Common Sense. Perch when Megan Fitzmartin's Robin is over. Can you do a sales analysis with that in Robin 1991, 93, 2009, and Red Robin?
Yeah, sure. I need to get back to doing the sales analysis. Actually, the Robin, the 91, 93, 2009 numbers are interesting for nerds like me and maybe you. I don't know, but the sales on the current Robin, from what I gather, the first issue were pretty poor. Even with the incentives, were pretty bad. So I should grab those.
if you're gonna do a set, if you're doing prep for, and you're gonna do this when this series is over, you might want to get started now, because I don't see it lasting much longer.
Yeah.
you
I
got
can't.
5 issues left.
March, April, he'll go there.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. Chuck Skills says, I ate Arby's last night just to spite Perch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's fine. You're hurting only yourself. What can I say?
You're inspiring people to go out and support the best fast food franchise in America.
Arby's runs a lot of ads on my channel now. It is quite the monkey's paw. Which ironically is what they put in their meat.
Oh my goodness. I miss the big Montana, the beef and cheddar. I miss all that good stuff.
You look healthy though. Maybe there's a connection.
Yeah.
He's not eating cancer.
You're saying Sully's been eating a lot of Arby's? That's why he looks like that?
Oh no. We have one Arby's here in Massachusetts. It's like one of those things about grandest disappointment. I couldn't wait to try it, and then I'm chewing it, and it's like the cow's revenge. You kept chewing and chewing and chewing.
It is the cow's revenge.
Chewing, dude.
That is all that is. Yeah, no.
Perfect
I mean,
hour.
I was horribly sick about a month or two ago, and I can't help but notice, I'm in a place with more Arby's. Connection? Absolutely.
My goodness. Ultimate Victory 88 says, what are your thoughts on Aquaman Andromeda? I think it's going to read much better as a trade. You can't really treat it as a traditional Aquaman story. Obviously, it's a different take on the character. The art is very interesting. It's definitely not traditional comic book art, but I do like it, and I think Ram V is good with the slow burn stories. What do you think, Perch?
Yeah, I agree. I think his stories work better in trade usually, actually. I mean, if you think of Swamp Thing, some of the other stuff, I think he's a great writer, but I think he works better collected.
Are you enjoying the new take where there's aliens and he's kind of got like all those weird crustaceans and stuff on him?
I no, but I mean it's different. So I mean I'll go. It's well written, different.
It's probably the best Aquaman comic book to come out in the last 18 months, maybe.
Yeah, I just I'd love it if it could be good with the core original character. I mean, so I always feel it's nice. It's like they're doing something different, and it's nice, but. It'd be really nice if they could just get the core characters right.
That would be the big
I just
problem.
want it all. What can I say?
Thank you very much to Ultimate Victory, Lade Kraber, Chuck Skills, and everyone for supporting the channel. Really appreciate that. Let's get into our first topic. Last week, we've got Dark Crisis, Young Justice. Was it number 5? Whatever, the penultimate issue. And basically, Megan Fitzmartin at this time has quadrupled down on just telling fans that they're terrible people using this character, Mickey Mixelplick. Feels like I've had about enough of that stuff. It's kind of happening on a few other places at DC Comics. We do know that layoffs are happening at Warner Brothers Discovery. There's a recent article that did say that there were layoffs at DC Comics, but we haven't got any specifics on that one. Is it time to clean house at DC, Perch?
Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, I've talked about it. The thing I would want to see happen is more along the lines of the management. A lot of people call for this writer, that writer to be canned, but I think it's got to stop.
I think it's
start
the editors.
high up. Yeah, well, higher. I mean,
Ben
literally,
Abernathy
I think
edited that book, and he's the executive editor.
Yeah, I think you got to start there. I think you got to make that happen. I think you got to. I mean, unfortunately, love Jim Lee, but he's not somebody who should run that company. Marie Javin, some of the people who are not showing up. I think you got to start at that level. You got to get new management structure in house, and you kind of work your way down. And a lot of people get frustrated with Megan or with Stephanie or various people underneath, but that's really just rotating chairs at that point. So go high up, start working your way down. I think it sorts itself out. But that's I don't think that happens this time. The layoffs right now are pretty much redundancies by the look of it. It's not going to be these kind
like
of
marketing
characters.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's all based on like you have an online service with support, and we have an online service over here, so we only need one support team. So then there you go, and that's what's going on.
DC Universe got gutted.
Yeah, but I notice it was all none of it was based on performance. It was purely based around redundancy, and which makes sense. That always happens in a merger.
Yeah.
So this isn't the layoffs that we're looking for.
Probably not. Josh, you are the DC aficionado. We talked, 4 or 5 months ago about what DC had done essentially to every character outside of Batman to really kill off the popularity and the sales with the characters. Do you think it's time that they'd start cleaning house? And what would you do?
I mean, look, my answer is going to sound pretty similar to Perch, but if you're looking at this even from like a higher up level, anyone that comes in to clean house at DC, they're not going to have enough wherewithal of who does what in DC and who does it well. So your best bet is just to get Jim Lee gone. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, if you want to see change, that's probably the person that's most likely to get cut at some point just because of his pay. And then you would have to hope that they get someone in that understands comics and has run a comic publisher before. Because if you get somebody that's from outside comics, they're not going to understand comics, and they're going to keep these same bad people that are in there because they're going to have the mindset of, these people know what they're doing, I need to learn. And you're probably going to have another 6 months to a year of just terrible leadership there. But yeah, it's got to start from the top and work its way down. What I would do, get rid of the head. I would cut my publishing line probably in half. That way we could probably pay some quality writers to come in, do some quality books, get a focus like that. And I get people are going to get pissed and they're going to want like they're smaller characters. They're C and D list characters to show up. Come up with a miniseries plan that's like presented as a miniseries plan and go that route. None of this, hey, we got this new ongoing and 6 months later, it was really just a mini series, but thanks guys.
Or use them as in some anthology book.
Anthology,
like,
yeah.
I mean, you could cycle through them. I mean, granted, yes, for the 1,000th time, anthologies don't sell, but
right. Yeah.
You could try it.
Josh,
Hey,
so what
curious.
I hear with what you're saying is you think DC should bring in Axel Alonso.
I mean, haven't we learned Axel may not be as much to blame as we thought, right? Is that
I'd take his AWA over a lot of DC right now.
agreed?
Absolutely, especially erratic. Oh,
Axel was always much more of a DC guy. I mean, he came over from DC. He was with Vertigo for a while. Granted, it was during their initial, the original Vertigo kind of crashing. He oversaw it during that phase. But he was more of a DC guy. But same with Joe Q. You know, they always should have had the other guy running their businesses, to be perfectly honest. They each had the wrong guy over there.
yeah.
Hey Josh, I'm curious about something. So I was in a shop about a week ago, and I'm curious what everybody thinks of this. So that we were talking about, this was something you brought up, which is they need to cut back their line. But would fans get angry if suddenly their characters weren't represented there? You know, some of these smaller characters, you don't see them anymore. And a guy in this shop had a good kind of pushback or thought on that, which is, I don't want to see a lot of these little characters in their own series or mini series. I'm actually happiest when they show up in a little guest cameo once a year and a special. And they said that's one of the reasons why I like Deceased, is that you see these characters you haven't seen for a long time pop up. They're there for a couple of panels. It feels like a super guest star and special. And so I'm thinking about that. I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, pare back your line and then start elevating some of these characters up by using them very, very sparingly. And you start to pop some of the issues. What do you think?
Oh,
Less
no, I
is
completely
more.
agree. And, you know, I think your team books back in the day used to fill that void. I mean, that was part of the reason these team books existed. And then they got so desperate for these team books to sell better that they kept putting their you know, higher level players on these team books. I think that's the way to go. And I think, you know, you kind of touched on something else is, you know, be intentional with your characters too. I think if you gave people a smaller serving of something, but it had more of an impact, they would still be satisfied. And I think it would create more demand. Right now, we're throwing characters, or shouldn't say we, they're throwing characters into titles just for the sake of having the character in the title, and then nothing happens. There's no character growth, there's no development, there's no arc, they're just there. So yeah, I think if you became more strategic and more intentional with your titles and your characters, I think they would see that they would have a positive outcome. It wouldn't happen overnight. I think they've dug a hole it's so deep that they're going to have to give their line time to pull itself out, but it would eventually happen. So
yeah,
I liked it in Batman Superman World's Finest. You never get to see Doom Patrol really in DC Comics very much. And all of a sudden they're there for like 3 issues and it was awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, you have this idea of paring it back, but right now 90% of the books are Batman. So what are you paring back? There's not
It's
a ton of
65%.
little, I know, but there's not a ton of these side characters in a lot of the books anymore. Yeah, there's some, but most of it's Batman.
The the way I'd look at it is these side characters, they only sell 12,000 copies.
Yeah.
And the anthology that you would feature them in will also sell 12,000 copies. So guess what? All you're doing is transferring that over to there. And since they all end up just miniseries anyway, you just publish the miniseries under that one banner and then you just cycle through them.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. You're just trading one title for another.
I mean, yeah.
Except for you no longer have to flood the shelves, and BCW makes less money on selling those stupid fucking divider cards.
And the worst thing right now is we're talking about this. We don't even have a Green Lantern book or an Aquaman book. We don't even have the major characters represented yet because of everything else. So yeah, you pare it back, but at least give every major character a book.
Mhm.
Perch, you saw the solicitations, right? There still isn't Green
Yeah.
Lantern or Flash in January.
There's
No,
nothing.
well, I mean, the point is still right that you're making. We are in this weird kind of 1 month, 2 month, barrier into Dawn of the DC universe. So there's going to be relaunches, and they want to blow them all out in 1 month, which is not a bad idea. But the point you're making is still correct, which is you've got these core characters who don't appear. You're missing out. I mean, it's just the line is a mess. And for what it's worth, I do think that DC is going to make a jump at some point when this settles down. I would be completely unsurprised if Joe Quesada shows up there as their EIC. Completely unsurprised. Lots of people believe that will happen.
Frank Miller Presents, like he was their publisher.
I think he's helping or he's an advisor, but I don't think it's a permanent role. And DC's going to hire somebody from within who has a name to come in, and he's the guy. Axel's making money doing his thing. He's not coming. I think it's Joe.
Heidi McDonald used to work on Vertigo at DC Comics. She's available.
She's a mess.
There's a lot of people that are available. That doesn't make any of them good. Joe Quesada is the only one that's available right now that has any measure of success, and he would have always been a better fit at DC than he was at Marvel. So I'd say go for it.
I think that will happen. I think it will be a disaster, and it's not the right answer, but why not?
No, but it's probably not a half bad kind of stopgap before they can actually identify somebody good, because Jim is an interesting guy. I mean, very smart, very creative and everything. He just doesn't have the right personality for it. And DC can't afford another Daniel Cherry. They just can't. I mean, anybody that's once again, it comes back to anybody that has any talent that's coming in from an outside industry obviously doesn't actually have talent, or else they'd be doing something better than comics.
I think they do have the money if they want to spend it, but they need a plan plus the money. So for example, if you spend money on some big person, you're going to have to, again, give that person kind of carte blanche to cut a bunch of things. And I think you've got some contracts. Generally, when you have a layoff like this, and I wish companies were different about this, but when you have a big layoff, you have merger and all these things are shuffling around. People move into this. Well, let's just kind of not mess up too much. We don't want everything to be messed up at once. So we'll give it another 6 months. And what happens is you just delay and delay and delay the pain, and it just stretches out. So I think that's the phase we're in right now. I think I agree. I think there'll be kind of a stopgap. That's not the right decision, but I think that's what they'll do. And this thing will kind of get kicked down the road.
So Perch, we said the comic book solicitations came out, and I'll be covering that in full on Tuesday. I looked at all the names associated with Lazarus Planet, because last time they did a big reboot where they brought in new creators, they were all on Future State while the current writers were still on the mainline books. They kind of phased them out with the new writers from Future State. It's not very promising if those are the writers that are coming into DC Comics to replace who they have right now. Like, there weren't any big names in there. Obviously, Mark Waid would be the big one, but it's like Nicole Maines, Leah Williams, a bunch of people that aren't going to put any butts in the seat.
Yeah, I mean, yes, you're right. I think Mark
Do you
Waid
think
gets
those
more
are the writers that are going to be here permanently?
For the next year. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what my
I wish I'd love a better answer. Like, no, because this reason and logic, but no, this is 2023.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we should keep Jim Lee and change his kind of focus, kind of like Stan Lee. We need a Lee in comic books, and he needs to be the publisher emeritus, like the face of DC Comics, going out there, drawing Batman and being nice to people. I mean, that's the best fate I think we could have for Jim Lee.
But he's not that carnival barker.
Yeah.
He's just not. I mean, for all his faults, Joe is that guy. I mean, he's absolutely the carnival barker type. For the same on the same way that Stan was.
Mhm.
So if DC wants that type of guy, then Joe is that guy.
Mhm.
He's much more so than anybody else since Didio's been gone. And other than Didio, the only person that has been that ever at DC.
I think he used to be. I'm curious, honestly. But Joe either was very. I think when the Marvel, the MCU, Kevin Feige and that group rejected his little council he put together to help. At that moment in Marvel, Joe's carnival barker behavior just plummeted. He was good at that, I agree, but he's kind of stopped being good at that, or at least he went away, got quiet. So maybe if you could get that returned, cool. We haven't seen it really in like 8 years.
Yeah, I mean that is a very valid point. It could be that he felt neutered at Marvel, especially after the Disney acquisition. They didn't want him. I don't think they wanted him doing that. So
his personality didn't match with Kevin at all.
No. So but if Warner Discovery brought him on and basically gave him free reign to go and do that again, I think he could kind of I guess wake up that part of his personality again. But then again, he is 15, 20 years older than he was when he was doing that at Marvel in the early 2000s. He's probably a lot more fucking chill and definitely a lot richer. Yep. So maybe he's less likely to go out there and rock the boat the way he was back then.
What
a lot of money, a lot of weed.
He was a consultant for the DCEU, and it sounds like he doesn't really have that role, or at least it's been diminished. Perch. What are the chances Jeff Johns comes over? We've seen him. He's doing this Golden Age thing. We got the JSA. He's got Stargirl. Is he going to be more of a creative focus on DC?
No, I don't see it. I mean, I think he has some things cooking with Geiger, some of his other projects. I think he's moving into that next phase of his career. I think there's some question marks. If they brought him in, there's a management discovery want him there. I think there's kind of some questions about that. I mean, I like him. I think he's a good guy. I think that at this point, both him and the companies have better interests in other places.
Yeah, but when they had Rebirth and he went out there and was explaining what Rebirth was, it was really easy to get excited because you could see there was passion.
Sure. Yeah. That passion, that's a bigger question though. And to the other people on the panel, like who's got that passion right now anywhere in comics? Who's the one who's out there like really pounding the table and getting you excited about stuff?
Nobody in mainstream comics. There's a lot of, you got your, honestly, a lot of your Comics Gate creators, for better or worse, they're at least passionate. Whether or not it's effective passion is something entirely different, but at least they're passionate. They're out there.
Yeah. There's the energy, and then there's the, ability to pull people in and I think McFarlane certainly was one of those. I think he still kind of has it, but he's kind of moved to other things. He doesn't do it as much. Obviously we've talked to Sean Murphy a lot. I think he has it, but again, his scope is small in terms of the people he reaches.
Kirkman gets really excited.
Kirkman does. He also is enjoying, money and weed right now. So as we all do.
Who gets you excited for comic books, Sully?
Currently Jeremy Adams. I mean, I'm loving the Flash lately.
Is good, isn't it?
It's really fun. I mean, this week's issue of the Flash, that is my pick, and it's a standalone issue, and it's just fun, and it's well written. That's Wally. I mean, gee, there he is, all this time. Yay.
Perch, you know who the perfect guy would be? We both had him on our channel recently, and there's definitely a lot of passion and a lot of concern and a lot of interest in modern comics is Mark Millar. But unfortunately, 100%. He's an executive for Netflix, and there's no way he's being pulled away from that.
No, I mean, he's got a good gig, and he's doing what he loves, and he's enjoying it. But I mean, hell, this is a lot of what ifs. But what if DC decided to restructure, and what if Discovery said, it would be benefit us right now is a tighter relationship with Netflix. They're losing some of our subscribers and everything else. Hey, this comic division is kind of an awkward piece. Why don't we retain the rights and the IP? What if we just kind of put it over there and let Mark Millar kind of oversee it and do the line under his guidance. Now, a lot of long-term DC fans would hate that because Mark Millar has the passion, but he also at time his view of the DC universe probably would upset a lot of traditionalists. But man, I'd love to see something like that.
Everything he did at Marvel turned to gold.
Especially that Aunt May Trouble book.
Okay, that one didn't work. Sometimes he goes too far.
He was always a better fit for a Marvel universe. That's why he fit in with Wildstorm, and why Wildstorm being purchased by DC never made any sense, because they always fit better within the Marvel universe. But yeah, he fit at Wildstorm, he fit at Marvel. He would not really fit at DC.
I'd love to see it though.
That's the
Why not? Let's give him 5 years and just see what he destroys.
I would realistically, and I think this guy's been like owed his due for a while now, but I would love to see Pete Tomasi step in and just kind of see what he could do. And the reason I say that is I do think Jeff Johns in many ways would be the right guy for the job to get DC at least publishing back in order. But he's such a tainted figure right now. If you bring him in right now, there's going to be so many people that have something to say about what went on, behind the scenes with films. And I think you kind of need a little more time. If you want Jeff in that position, and, maybe the higher ups do, they're going to have to find a strategy to do like they did with Amy Pascal at Sony with the movies. She had this huge scandal pop up where she was having racist comments and saying inappropriate things about actors. And then she kind of like lost her throne. She got fired from her job and then kind of came back as a producer and then built herself back up. And I think that's where Jeff Johns is. But, Pete Tomasi's been a writer. He's been an editor. He's handled a ton of characters before. He's worked on the film side from an animated standpoint. He's got a good breadth. And I think it's someone that knows the industry and knows the characters well enough that he could do a good job. He also understands the industry from a business standpoint to a degree. And they could probably come in, and this is going to sound bad, but they could probably get him a little cheaper than you would someone that's already had an EIC title. So I would be, it's a gamble I would take. I think the potential is there. And from a business standpoint, I don't mind making some gambles every now and then. And I don't think DC has too much to lose.
You know who would absolutely fit, and it'd be right in the next step of their career? Heather Antos. Might as well.
You were going to say Kevin Smith.
No. Actually, now that I think about it, the one guy that actually might fit, now he doesn't really have the Hollywood side, but Dan Jurgens.
Ooh, that'd be good.
I mean, he has a lot of history with the DC characters. No, he doesn't know the ins and outs of the Hollywood side, but I know that he's been involved with some of that stuff because they've made a bunch of stuff that he worked on. They adapted it into film and TV. So he's probably got at least a little bit of experience. Now, whether or not it's enough for, to be their Kevin Feige, I doubt it.
I don't know if Jurgens has enough of a leadership quality to him. He's a bit of an odd character, and he's kind of like and look, I've had pleasant interactions with Dan Jurgens. I've never had a bad interaction, but he's definitely a little aloof. He's a little kind of spacey.
Fair enough.
I mean, a lot of these people are really great creators, but the leadership piece you have to be willing to fire a bunch of your friends if it comes to it.
Absolutely.
And you have to be willing to have a lot of your life be something else. And, do some of these people want to do it? No. And good for them for recognizing what they want to do and don't want to do.
Let's hear what the big. What? Okay.
Go ahead. No. Go.
Let's hear for the people. We do have some super chats. So let's see what Happy Steve said. Welcome to the Doc is Right show featuring Wes and guest starring Perch. Just kidding. Looking forward to a great show. Hashtag I stand with Doc. No new comics. You started a movement, Doc. Good job.
I wasn't trying to. I was just.
The comic industry thanks you.
Yeah.
You're the Forrest Gump of comic books dying, Doc.
Yeah, sure.
Next thing you know, he's going to be running through the desert.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to follow him.
Be retarded and play good ping pong. All right, cool.
Galvin says editors need to have spines to say no to these bad ideas. And it's a shame for Dave Wheelgoss. I put his Man Bat on my best comics of 2021. Man Bat was pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say these editors aren't going to say no to these bad ideas because these bad ideas are their ideas.
They're their ideas. Nobody's
they
pitching
think
ideas.
These ideas are the kit in the caboodle. They think they're saving comics. Like that's why we keep saying the editors need to go. Like you've got to get new people in there.
Yeah, you can't say enough. That's one of the biggest misunderstandings you see week in, week out on YouTube. A lot of the people who are really kind of railing against comics, they go to the writers. They forget the editors are asking for these pitches. In many cases, the editors are saying, hey, you know what we'd like? We would like a Norman Osborn Gold Goblin comic. Please, would you like cash? Please give me a pitch for this comic idea that is terrible. So please give, the writer's like, yes, I would like cash. I have no passion for this. I'm not going to read any of this. So I'll put something in. But it's the editors. You got to start with the editors.
Yeah, you have so many of these writers that they go in and say, here's my pitch. And these editors say, well, not that. How about do this? And they're like, I don't know those characters, but fine. Give me a check and go.
Yeah.
Even Christopher Priest was talking about his idea was not White Adam. Like that was the editor that made him put it in the book.
You look at it this way. It's a terrible recipe, and it's a recipe for disaster. You might as well be just mixing bleach and ammonia. You have a bunch of editors that are idiots and don't know what they're doing, with a bunch of people that don't really want to be in comics and want to use it as a stepping stone to something else, that have no passion for the characters. So fuck it. The bad editor asks the people that don't care for a shitty product, and then they get a shitty product and they wonder why.
I don't think they're wondering why. They'd probably know. Everett Todd, the only reason DC doesn't cut back their titles is Marvel would absorb all of the shelf space they abandoned.
Well, I mean, he's right, but how valuable is that shelf space now? That's kind of the biggest. Like, as comic shops are cutting back, and a lot of them are, and if you look at those shelves, and I mean, it'll take a lot of people to really change the way they think.
Now.
Yeah, who needs them? Like, if you go into the shop and you see this mile-long comic shelf, maybe that sucks. That's just an idea. Just maybe comic shops are never meant to have, a 50-foot wall of new comics every month where things are hanging off it. Maybe that's never what comics were supposed to be, and maybe we should walk away from that.
Yep. 300 plus 400, 500 new release comics every month is about 200 too many. The 300 too many. Honestly, we need to get back to the era where you just had a top 100, not a top 300. If it wasn't in the top 100, it doesn't exist. Might as well have not existed. Now we have top 300, and there's shit sitting outside of that that's still taking up shelf space.
Yeah. I'd like to get back to a spinner rack mentality, and that like your unsold copies, you rip the cover off and you send them back to be pulped. If you don't, you know what I mean? That kind of
returnability.
That was recycling. And then, that's
listen, dude, that thing needs to be put in a plastic case, because in 30 years, as long as there's no deficiencies to it, it might be worth some money.
Yeah, but this is why these old copies have such value, because most of them were returned to pulp. There's a scarcity thing.
Most of them had their covers. Yeah, most had their covers ripped off. A lot of the ones that did get sold got fucking bent and destroyed. They got folded up.
People used to read comic books, Doc.
Yeah, they got folded up, stuck in some kid's back pocket while they were on their bicycle. And the ones that actually did end up in the I'd go 8.5 and above range are fucking rare.
I'm rolling up. Oh my goodness. Dark Crisis number 5.
Value 1%.
Putting it in my back pocket right now.
Okay.
Okay. I did it. I love doing that. It's my
you made the comic better somehow.
Yes.
Hey, the one thing we can say about modern comics is they're so fucking terrible, and they sell so poorly that and this is a big if in 70 years the comic industry rebounds to the point where it was in the 80s and 90s, then your book, even your shitty fucking Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, will be worth something, because even though everybody took them, put them immediately in the bag and board and kept them pristine, there's still only like 18,000 copies of it.
All right,
I like somebody. I just looked at the chat, and I hadn't been looking at the chat, but somebody had the idea of, like, we should make the big two. You can only sell the comics you can fit on a spinner rack. That's not a terrible idea. It's a good rule of thumb. But cut it way back.
I mean, my Oh, I was just going to comment on my LCS real quick because so my local comic shop is probably square footage the largest comic shop I've seen that's a normal comic shop. No like Mile High Comics thing going on. He's cut back to where they're only ordering 60% of DC and Marvel unless someone has it on their pull list. And he's got a ton of space, but there's too many comics now. Not enough is selling. It's not a good business model. Sorry, Wes.
Ultimate Victory 88 says Snyder on Superman would honestly bring more eyes and prestige back to the title. Just keep Snyder's ideas more streamlined. I'm assuming he's talking about Scott Snyder. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah,
he is not a Superman writer.
What was the Superman book he had?
Unchained.
Man Unchained.
Superman
that was
Unchained.
it. Yeah, it was not good.
It got delayed. Jim Lee with art on that really delayed it too.
No, actually, it got delayed because Orson Scott Card was supposed to.
Is that what it was?
And then the Twitter weirdos threw a temper tantrum because the Mormon science fiction writer said Mormon things. Shocking.
Wow.
So they busted him off the book, and then it ended up having to get like all rewritten, basically.
All right. Super Cam 1721. I agree with Josh. Get Jim Lee out of publishing and have him on art only. As for Reed Javins, I hear Arby's is hiring. Should have her future.
Oh man.
Do I want to wish that on Marie Javins?
Do I really want to trust Arby's with these idiots that can't publish a comic book, right? You know what I mean?
Well, look at it this way: if Javins, who doesn't seem to show up to work, goes to work for Arby's, then there's fewer sandwiches out there, which means healthier society. So that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I think Javins, and this is just being honest, I think she got overjobbed. She was not ready for that position. It is completely plowed through her. Like, I think she is just...
Dude, you can't be saying it's like, there's metaphors. This is a fucking family show.
I mean, look, I'm going to say I wasn't even thinking that, but it could be a very accurate metaphor. Like, I think this job ran her
We're
over.
moving on.
Yeah.
I feel like Megan Fitzmartin is trying to tell Tom King, hold my beer. She's a way worse writer than Tom King.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Tom King destroys characters because I think he thinks it's fun. I think Megan Fitzmartin destroys characters because she's incompetent. There's a difference.
Tom King is Jason Aaron.
He's way better writer than Jason Aaron.
Not particularly.
He really is. You don't read DC. You haven't read a Swamp Thing.
No, I haven't.
He has
hold on. I read that fucking winter special. I thought he did other
excellent.
Swamp Thing. It was all right.
Tom King's a better writer than
I didn't even
Jason
like
Aaron.
that.
My point is they both ruin characters because they think it's fun. Whereas Megan Fitzmartin is Steve Orlando and Stephanie Phillips.
Steve Orlando's way better.
And all the rest of the... Again, we're still talking about utterly incompetent people that just want to change shit.
Perch, who's better, Steve Orlando or Megan Fitzmartin?
Orlando.
Oh, Jesus.
It's rough, isn't it?
That's a rough one.
Steve Orlando did the
Midnighter and Apollo.
The Midnighter series and Midnighter and Apollo.
His Midnighter book was solid. And he also did, I think it was the Shadow Batman.
Batman in the Shadow, yeah.
Yeah, and that was actually, it was one of my favorite books, honestly. He did a damn good job with that.
He left DC because they felt like they were too in the weeds on his storytelling. They were giving him too many suggestions. Marvel's more free-flowing.
Clearly, he needed those suggestions.
Yes.
I mean, he's off the rails. I don't know. I'll go the opposite way. So I think Orlando's probably the better writer. We have more material to judge. Right now, Fitzsimmons probably.
I call her Fitz-Hayton.
No, go watch One Piece Red next month. That's what you should do with your time.
Dill Lindsay, hello everyone. Everyone, it's almost said everyone and everybody at the same time. That was stupid. Do you think the editors are afraid of the writers? Like they know these stories are crap, but they are afraid of nixing them because they don't want to be called out on social media? They were certainly afraid of Tom King. That's why he got an editor fired. But right now, editors kind of have all the power right now, unless you're like a Tom King or maybe a Brian Michael Bendis. And we've talked about it before. Yeah, a lot of these things are their ideas. Like even in the X-Men office at Marvel, Like the stories we're reading in there, those aren't like Vita Ayala's and Tini Howard stories. Those are the editor stories that they're giving to the writers that they're executing a lot of the times.
For sure.
Yeah. I don't think they're scared of the writers. I think the writers are scared of them. I don't know.
I think the writers just want to check.
Yeah,
they want to be
phone
paid,
it in.
and what's the
And
least
they
amount of work you can get to?
And they want to use comics as their stepping stone to
Yeah, that's the
something
deal.
else.
Yeah.
It's a gig.
They do. I think
Dalek.
that's true. Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Keep going.
No. I think it's true, but I think that dreams got popped a little bit. I think enough people realize they're not getting the free check to Scholastic, and so now it's like, I would just like to augment my GoFundMe. So please give me my check for $1,800.
I mean, they want to do that now, whether or not they accept the reality that they are stuck and they have plateaued and they're going to, now they don't really have that place. The door that they thought was in front of them is locked closed, and they're waiting until it reopens. So they're just kind of in a holding pattern until they either figure out something else or that door does open.
All right, get it, Dalek. Hey guys, just dropped in. Eric, I like the Captain America gear. Perch, long time no see. Great to see you. Party on.
I love that
on,
cap
mate.
gear.
Thank you. I got a full-on cosplay, dude.
I love it.
Is that your Halloween costume?
It is,
Was it-
yeah. Actually, yeah. I mean, I'm going. I got a full-on Captain America cosplay. I even got a Mjolnir because it's like movie cap, and I'm thrilled to.
Man,
do
you're gonna
the
say that
pose.
to ladies all night, aren't you? I can do this all
man.
day.
I can do this all day on your left.
My 3-year-old is going as Hal Jordan Green Lantern.
That's awesome.
Perch, what are you dressing up as? You're gonna be
Or what are the girls dressing up as?
I'm going as a guy who moved from Seattle to Texas and is about to get his ass kicked.
oh my
and,
goodness,
my
you're gonna
daughters
walk
are going
around with
as
like a
not
fucking
seen with dad.
Starbucks just waiting to get kicked.
Yeah, he's
My
gonna have
goodness.
skinny jeans in the Starbucks. I can't say anything. I've got skinny jeans.
And
Oh,
pumpkin
you're gay,
spice.
Josh. You
fucking
I was about to
swamp
say
thing.
I'm also a homosexual, so
So
I'm
Perch is
totally
gonna
putting on the skinny
correct-
jeans.
Never mind.
Oh my goodness. Wade Tech Ted. DC is depressing me now. Batman is absolutely my favorite character, but even he is powerless against activists who think killing the fans' love of the universe is a worthwhile task. The mainline Batman book is good. Batman Superman is good. Detective Comics is good if you like Ramby. It's definitely a different perspective, but there's a lot of really bad Batman right now, Josh. It's like Batman the Fortress. There's some real just crap out there.
yeah, you've got so many writers coming in now, and it's like their goal is to do their interpretation of the character, but they're not bringing anything that is like a foundation of the character into their stories. And I think and it's not just Batman. We're seeing this across the board. And I think if you could fix that, you would fix a lot of people's problems with the stories. I mean, we've had bad comics in the past. It's not like we've ever, not had bad comics. You've always kind of had bad stories that are out there. But I think it's when you have a bad story and then you have just a completely unjust characterization of a character in that story, and then the writing's not good as well. It's a hat trick of being terrible. It's a lot of bad, and it's too much. You're spreading. There are some ideas that are good stories, but when you're spreading it through 60% of your line, you're never going to get the impact that you could have and should have. So, and you're going to burn through them way too freaking fast.
Perch, we haven't talked about this. Are you reading The Fortress?
Yeah, but I don't like it. It's not good.
Bad, isn't it?
But I mean, what's sad is there are some good comics, and I think if you still do, we in the show with here's some comics you can recommend. You can look at every single week. There are good comics. You kind of, but I think we've all as fans, people in this, we fall into this trap where the bad comics take up our mind, and you start to forget about the good comics, and so you're like, God, why is this comic so bad? It makes you very mad. The Young Justice book is so bad, and they're just poking you as a fan. You're angry. And then pretty soon all that good comic memory just starts to evaporate out the back of your head because you can't believe this shitty comic. And that's where we're sit. I mean, every week there are good comics.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here we are it's human nature to just be buried by the garbage. And there is some garbage out there.
Yeah. It's not very balanced right now.
Not at all. And look, we talk a lot about, opportunities in the industry, but, Wes has a show. Is it every Sunday that it comes out? Every Saturday? I know you'll film on
Sometimes
Saturday.
it's Saturday, but sometimes it's Sunday, depending on the week.
Yeah, if you go and find it, if you just seek out the bad, you're going to find the bad. But most of your channels will discuss what they're liking and what they think are good books and what they're picking up. And if you're a consumer, like, please, by all means, go pick up these books. If you're not reading it, go just try it. You know, it may not be something you've read before, but go pick it up, because the comic shops need some help, like terribly bad. And anything we can do that can help them, great. But it also kind of will send a message to the publishers. But if you've got good books like Jeremy Adams' Flash, like Action Comics, that aren't getting purchased, we're not sending a message. All we're doing is just bitching, and we're not putting our money where it needs to go. So that's my soapbox.
And by the way, this isn't an argument of like, let's all be positive. It's not that either. It's look, like anything, you know, your mind is like a slow moving boat. So you well, at least my mind, because I'm old. But anyway, as you're going all through things, if you get bad repeated, you almost, it's like it's hard to steer away from that. So you have to actively have a long run of good things to get you out of it. It's why people will look at good books and go, well, there's this one panel in here where somebody said Latinx, so the whole book is ruined for me. It's because your brain is stuck.
Thunderbolts.
Well, yeah, that like the Thunderbolts. I'm enjoying it.
Satire.
It is. I'm enjoying the Thunderbolts quite a bit right now. I like it. You know, it's a fun book. They have this one panel. People get angry about it, but it was meant to be a parody of those kinds of people. But it tells you where our heads are at. We've just, people have been beaten, and so now they're just locked into that mentality, and it's going to take a long time to move away from that. And you know, it's just a fact. So the industry can't say, well, I wish the fans would just change their mind tomorrow. I wish that we could just, you know, even if they start putting out great comics, all of them, 100% amazing comics, which has never happened in comics before, but every single one is great. It will still take good 6 months to a year for people to recalibrate. It's just, you got to work your way through that and earn that trust back.
That's why I think they need a new head and somebody that's going to go, because a lot of people, even with the stuff we're talking about today, are still yelling they'll never buy a DC comic because of Heroes in Crisis, while most of that regime's gone, and they end up just against DC. And even the stuff now with Megan Fitzmartin, it seems like the real bad things are kind of giving the finger to the writer or the readers, and they're not going to get over that easily.
That's right. And you know what would help? And I think this is one of the secrets to rebirth. Come out and just admit it. You don't have to say I'm a horrible person and get flogged by it, but just come out and say, hey, we know you're feeling this way.
We lost our way.
We understand.
That sort of thing. Yeah, that's what that, because they have. Admit it.
It worked. And just say, you know, hey, we thought this was a good idea, but it didn't work out. We're trying something new. I hope you'll be along for the journey, and we'll earn your trust back. It's weird how you don't even have to say you're wrong. Just try to, you know, admit the honesty of what's going on. And you'd be surprised how quickly we'll get people back.
Wraithx7, the big two need to cut back to the number of books they publish to about 15 a month. I think that would be a solid number of ongoings, with maybe 5 to 10 miniseries going on at a time. I think that would be beneficial to everybody.
We're currently at 80, so yeah.
Yeah. It would cut back a lot, and they could really start focusing their efforts. Grateful Dog, good name. January solicits for DC and Marvel are very underwhelming. Let's hope February is better. Also, Usagi going back to Dark Horse is good news. I will have my solicitation videos on Monday and Tuesday. I'm going to have some thoughts on DC Comics tonight and tomorrow, but I was expecting something to change in January, Perch, with DC, and it didn't.
It's February. I mean, based on the timing, you get the close on December. You have that. I mean, you're going to get 2 months. So, I mean, January will be awkward. February will probably have a launch or two, a bigger one. I think the new Justice League book will probably drop then, whoever's on that. And I think you'll really see it in March. So that's what we're in for. Who's
on the new Justice League? It's got to be T. Franklin, right?
No, I don't think so. I've heard a lot of rumors.
Any of them good?
I suspect it'll be Mark Waid.
I believe that. It sounds like he's going to be doing most of the stuff at DC coming up. Lade Kraber, so did Josh and Perch. Do you think, since Teenie Howard's Catwoman is spinning its wheels, do you think there's a path to her comics can be made interesting again?
No. I thought you gave us money, so we should be better than that.
Interesting in the first place, right?
Well, I was going to ask, are we asking if Teeny's comics will be good or if Catwoman will eventually be good? Catwoman, I think, will eventually be good again. You'll get a different writer on there. Something will happen. Every title goes through ebbs and flows. Teenie Howard, I mean, you're going to get Teenie Howard. So
Man, did you see? So I got people so pissed off. Somebody asked why Teenie Howard, why they keep
I watched
employing her
your
and everything
video.
else.
Because she's on time.
Yeah, no,
Nice.
she's easy to work with. And people hated that answer, but it is a true answer.
It is a very true answer.
That's kind of the way I understood it. She seems really nice on social media, and when you see her interviews, she's friendly.
Yeah, she doesn't cause chaos, and they give her money. And if you're like, but the writing, but sure, I understand, but keep in mind, 80 books coming out, lots of fires everywhere. You give the money to people who don't cause you more of them. There you go.
Yeah, and look, we bash on the editors too, but we've also talked about how understaffed they are from an editorial standpoint. So if you're an editor and you're overworked and you've got too many like kids that you're trying to wrangle, if you've got someone that does their job, doesn't complain, gets it on time, potentially early to make your life easier, you're gonna keep them and use them
all day long.
Even from a business standpoint, half of my team, they're not the best people, they're just consistent. And consistent is way better than having people that are excellent when they decide to be excellent and then drop the ball 60% of the other time.
Critical Blast says, we don't have a Stan Lee, a Dick Giordano, a Roy Thomas, a Julie Schwartz. Comics these days are being published by people who no longer love comics.
Well, hopefully that's changing because you got guys like Jeremy Adams, Philip Kennedy Johnson. You got, this is my hope that
he's spoken there about the leaders, like obviously Stan Lee, Dick Giordano, Roy Thomas, Julie Schwartz.
That's true, yeah. But hopefully that you got Joe Quesada. I love Perch's idea. That's what my hope is: a comic book person, a superhero shepherd, making superhero stories for superhero fans. Go back to the original recipe.
Very nice. Bird Gang says, if it's not getting 40,000 copies printed, it shouldn't be printed. That would knock out like the top
everything but Batman at DC.
That knocks out 75% right now.
Yeah, that's like the top 80 maybe.
Yeah,
maybe not even that.
Somewhere in there, it's about 70 to 80%.
Yeah. That wouldn't be it couldn't hurt. Although it would only be Batman for DC Comics. Yeah. Literally only Batman and like Deceased. Some of those
I think DC will change a little bit of that mix next year as they put some of the creators. There does seem to be an interest to put stronger creators on some of the other titles and see if they can boost it up again, and that probably will help. I mean, right now, sad to say, the thing that's going to move the needle above that number is you get a consistent creative team that people like, and by that I mean 95% of the art is going to drive that. So if you can do that, then you put out some good stories, you get a kind of a run going, you can kind of stabilize that base. But so I think DC is going to make a swing at that in 2023. But the writer lineup seems pretty rinse and repeat from 3 years ago Marvel.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of issues that they're having right now, just with like momentum. There's no momentum on any character, especially like even the Flash should be a perennial top 25 seller. Heroes in Crisis kind of killed that one off. Superman, perennial top 25, top 20 seller. Brian Michael Bennett's run into Tom Taylor's thing that he's doing. There's like no momentum on any of the characters. Wonder Woman is just unreadable right now. They have a lot of work. They might turn it around, Perch, and it might take them 9 months for people to even consider coming back.
I don't think so. That I kind of we'd have to see it, but if you look at the numbers, if you look at when Jim Lee and Loeb came on Hush. Now, Jim Lee's was a superstar at the time, had actually more going into him at that moment than a lot of people do now. His star was a little higher, but things can turn around incredibly fast. And fans, despite the, no offense, Doc, I'm done with you. If you give them a really compelling reason, you put like their favorite artists and stuff on a title, a lot of them come back the next month. Maybe not Doc, but right now, if you do, if you're like, congratulations, we're putting out, Art Adams and Chris Claremont are going to be on a run of X-Men, you'd be surprised how many people would suddenly show up to the store and start buying that.
That would be good. Get it. Alex says, you guys are talking DC. Marvel needs to clean house too. The X-Men line, Avengers, Black Panther, Spider-Man. New editor-in-chief would do it.
Yeah, I think Marvel's in worse shape than DC in a very weird way.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like the good titles that they have aren't their big characters.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blocked by more Marvel creators than by leagues by DC creators. I'll tell you, I'm only blocked by one DC creator, and that's Tom King. because I had it coming.
What did you do?
It was Heroes in Crisis. I had a Robin R that was ironed onto my red Columbia vest, and I rip it off and I threw it at the camera. I'm like, I'm done. I threw away all of my Lantern Corps t-shirts and I put it on video and I sent it to Tom King. I'm like, I'm done, you a-hole.
Man, you should have
He
put like
blocked you for that? Huh.
Yeah.
I got blocked by him this week.
nitrogen on it and hit it with a hammer and shattered him into pieces.
Yeah.
Hey, I took a copy of Iceman, froze it into a block of ice, and cut it in half with a sawzall. So
Ooh.
it was the first video that I put on my channel.
That's time consuming.
That's good.
It was
a lot of thought, Doc. You have to keep the anger going for something to freeze.
Yeah.
That's like not in the moment. That's pre-planned.
I threw
I threw an issue of Dan Slott ASM on my hibachi and lit it on fire, and that got a lot of views.
I'm realizing I'm very lazy.
The actual process of doing it was very quick. All I did was just take a pan, set it in there, fill it with water, and stick it in the freezer and walk away for like 6 hours.
Yeah, it was a 6-hour process, Doc.
I didn't have to do anything.
You had to maintain your anger for 6 hours to saw it. Eventually, at one point, you go, you know what? Never mind.
Now, in fairness, he had his anger. All you had to do is like have a blip of it, and then he could kind of just do other things, and then just had to resurrect it for another little bit. So
Exactly.
he didn't have to maintain.
I didn't have to maintain anything. And then like when I even remembered that it was there, I think it was like the next day or like later that night. And I'm like, I went to get something out of the freezer. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I did this. Well, might as well fuck it up now.
Darth Bobcat says Megan Fitzmartin is a fanfic shipping writer. They don't care about characterization or canon. They care about their damn ship.
Yes.
But that's a lot of writers now. It is.
Yeah.
We are in the fanfic era of comics.
Mm-hmm.
We had the golden era, this golden age, silver age. We're in the fanfic age.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's
I like
been
that.
pretty rough.
A depressing way to put it. But yeah.
Indeed.
I'd say the tin age, worthless.
The tin age.
Okay.
You can
Ryan
move away
Wilson.
from metals, man.
Nope.
Who's a worse leader, Jim Lee for DC or Tony Khan for AEW?
Oh, Jim Lee, 100%. Tony Khan still has people showing up to watch the show.
Yeah.
It's the number one show on Wednesday nights most of the time, unless there's like playoffs. Oh yeah, he's still doing all right. Joe Wynn, good morning all. Black Adam was great. Perch, where's Dottie Cates? Is it just a coincidence and solicitations?
No, it's not a coincidence.
He quit Marvel?
No. I mean, he's got issues, man. He's got some issues, and hopefully he works through those.
Okay. Well, good, because it was showing his fucking Hulk run blew and his Thor just went to crap.
No, I mean he's got plans. I think he'll return to probably one of those titles at some point, but he's got stuff to work through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Not a coincidence. Have you spoken with Super Son's movie a success? Can they de-age John Kent? No.
Tevye.
He's the gay Superman now. He can't be de-aged.
Every week. Week.
And if they did de-age him, he would just be like 7 years old and they would get accused of grooming.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's true. But that's depressing. But that's why they're bringing in the two twin kids. They're trying to recreate the kid magic without, God, that now see, you can't even say kid magic without it being weird. They're trying to recreate that kid vibe. Nope. Anyway.
They stole that idea from Dan Slott. He did that in Fantastic Four.
Yeah, but that's exactly what's going on. They realize they like that dynamic. People liked it. So they're hoping to let's bring twins into the mix and we can have, two for the price of one. And, and then they'll feel out how that goes. No, that doesn't sound good. Anyway, you get the idea.
Plus, they can always have Super Sons books. They just have them back in the day stuff and just keep putting them out.
Absolutely. Yeah. The only way you're ever going to get John Kent completely de-aged and not gay is you're going to have him out of publication for 10 to 20 years. And even then, it's questionable.
They would still be mad.
Come on, we can zap him with the Amazonian purple ray.
That's true. That would do it.
Dude, yeah.
388. City of Bane fundamentally damaged Batman and Tom King so horribly. I'm still shocked they allowed that storyline to happen.
Well, Tom King's Batman started going off the rails in the second arc.
Yeah.
And people just didn't even notice it until
Riddles is pretty bad if you read.
Yeah, that's when people actually started catching on. The one thing I'm glad I can say is I have a very public history of documenting when his run went bad, and it was the second issue of the second arc. and it just completely went off the rails.
And people saying that though at that time, like this is like screw all of you fans right now in the chat. No, I'm kidding. But there were so many people who you would say this Tom King run is going off track. It was bad during that monster arc, and there was stuff there that was clearly a sign it was going to be bad, and people would defend that to the death. Like, no, this is Rebirth. Screw you. And a lot of these same fans are like, no, I'm done. You guys were the same ones arguing with us. Like he was supposed to be your savior, and he was not. So
yeah,
to you.
Like Josh. I mean, you have reviews out there that you can check out. When I ended up going on Josh on Batman deal and defending Josh at points because people would just yell at him all the time. It was crazy.
My God, I had people. I had people coming in my DMs cussing. Like, look, what? Yeah, what Tom King went through with people having death threats, like I got close to that.
Yep.
Like, so if I see you at a Comic-Con, I'm like, fuck off. Like, look, I loved Tom King before he took over Batman. He was kind of one of those, like, for me, he was like the godsend writer. I thought he was going to be the second coming, and it didn't happen.
Omega Man was great.
Kenneth Dowling says, in honor of Perch returning, I have a special hero fight, a battle royale, James Bond. Either one you choose, Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible, John Wick, and Jason Bourne. Only one man makes it out alive. Doc, this is in your wheelhouse, and I'll be returning in 1 minute.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, Bond, Ethan Hunt, Wick, and Jason Bourne. You know what? I would have to say John Wick.
I would too.
Just because he is willing to do whatever the fuck it takes.
Yeah.
Bond has too many ethics. Ethan is, I mean, unless it involves him like jumping out of an airplane or hanging onto an airplane or doing crazy stunts, he's much more of a spy. Jason Bourne and John Wick are probably on par with each other fighting ability wise, but Wick knows that gun fu. And that none of the rest of them are able to do. And so I'd have to say John Wick.
Yeah. Canonically, James Bond's already dead, right?
Yeah, you're fighting a corpse.
Yeah, he's off the board. Process of elimination. Ethan Hunt, he's nothing without his team.
James Bond.
Boom. Zombie James Bond.
I totally John Wick. By the way, when Wes leaves, is this still where we take the show completely off the rails while he's gone?
Absolutely.
You still do that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Dude, we start dropping. This is where he gets demonetized.
Yeah,
perfect.
I feel like this is where we have to catch perch up on everything that's happened on Wes's channel. Like, you need to make sure you ask Wes about the boy panties that he's trying to buy.
Boy panties, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Stuff like that, yeah.
We're trying to get a Fatal J plushie doll. Yeah.
By the way, Fatal J is also known as
God.
What was it?
Fuck.
Tinkleberry.
Tinkleberry, because he couldn't remember Tinkerbell's name.
Oh, man. I gotta say this much: Fatal J got me to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, and I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I really enjoyed the shit out of that, man. Thank you, Thank you, Fatal J. Yeah.
So basically, the James Bond's drowning in pussy. He's not in this fight. Ethan Hunt, I agree. He's busy posing. John Wick, Jason Bourne is where it comes down, and John Wick kills him. So that's definitely the pick there.
Yeah, like Jason Bourne's easy to kill because if he kills like James Bond, you just got to be like, dude, you just shot your brother, and then he's gonna be so conflicted that you just like knife him in the face. There you go.
Yeah, quick fight.
And then. Dear God, if anyone kills a dog around John Wick,
oh God,
he's gonna get triggered and it's over even faster.
Oh, poor dude.
They waited too long for this next movie. They got to get that out sooner.
Yeah, I think a lot of that had to do with just all the shutdown shit. And I think that they have some sort of disagreement with the producer, director, writer guy. That there was some sort of stalemate in contracts with him, because I think that's where I heard that the delay came from. So, and I think Keanu was trying to get his Berserker fast track.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. They should film more movies down here in Texas. COVID doesn't exist in Texas. What I didn't realize was it never happened here.
Oh yeah, no. Like true story. It was 2020. Like March, we did shutdowns. By July of 2020, we were 100% back open. We followed we followed rules, but it was like it never happened. And it was strange because when you have something that's your everyday norm and then you leave that and you have to live something different, it's just odd. So like living here, kind of going, especially in East Texas, where people are, they're going to do whatever the hell they want to do. Leaving here and then going to Los Angeles for work and having to completely go back to like, you can't go in businesses. Like it was odd.
You're off the fight?
Yeah, it was a really easy fight.
Yeah, actually, so get the right
John
answer,
Wick.
Wes. What's the answer?
It's John Wick. The entire world wanted to kill him, and he murdered all of them anyway.
Yes,
100%. So we have a complete consensus in the panel here.
Yeah, it wasn't even be close. My bad. I thought it was good. That was a good one though. That'd be a fun fight.
It would be a fun
Wick
fight.
Killed a man with a fucking pencil. You know what I mean?
And he'll kill 3 more right here with a pencil.
I think it'd be a quick fight. I think Bond and Hunt go out quick, and then you get
they're
kind
not
of
nearly as deadly.
Yeah.
Nobody's willing to shoot people in the face more than John Wick.
Yeah. Ethan Hunt needs his team as well. I mean, it's not just a singular thing with him. He's the hero, yet what would he be without the MI team?
The biggest challenge with Ethan Hunt would be trying to catch him when he has this oh shit moment, I'm about to die, and starts fleeing, and you're like, that
John
man
Wick's
can
face.
get away on the sides of airplanes.
Okay, so John Wick, Batman. Who's winning that?
Batman.
John Wick.
Batman.
John Wick. Shoot him right in the face. No one shoots somebody in the mouth better than John Wick. That's where he's vulnerable.
That's true.
I'm John Wick. Yeah.
Shin Megami talks. How do you break in as a writer now? I remember there used to be a standard. What happened? You go on Tumblr and you create fanfic/fic, and that's how you break in.
8 or 3.
Graduate from the right college.
Befriend writers on Twitter.
Yes.
Schmooze them. Tell them how incredible and amazing
Go to the
they
con
are.
scene, buy drinks.
Buy them drinks.
Verbally fillet the fuck out of everyone in the industry. Give it 100% approval on everything they work on. Everything they do. 5 years ago, it was work for IO9. And yeah.
No, it's none of those things. It's work really hard to perfect your craft, slowly and surely over many months. Define your professional project management skills. Learn how to really tell a compelling story over both a 1-issue, 3-issue, and 6-issue arc, and then patience and hard work.
Hey, I've been that way for a while. We got HH from Sigma Comics. Shout out to the best comic book experts on the interwebs. Awesome panel. Wes, Captain E, Doc, and the gang together. Even Perch. Let's finally do that interview. Issue 6 on Kickstarter Tuesday.
Ooh,
Yeah, you bet.
awesome.
HH is a great interview.
Looking for
Good
that.
guy. Got issue 6 coming out on Tuesday. That's going to be big time. Definitely be looking out for Here Comes Calico on Kickstarter. So you're going to talk to HH, Perch?
Yeah, I need to get back into interviewing for sure. I've got a long list.
Yeah, definitely get in there on that one. So thank you very much. Hope you guys are having a fun time. Sounds like you're taking the weekend off, and you guys probably deserve it because you were touring the entire United States and Canada there for a while. Lade Kraber. I wish people would stop using the bisexual term for Tim Drake, John Kent, and Harley Ivy since do we really see them dating the opposite sex again?
No.
Probably not John Kent. Tim Drake, maybe. I mean, it's in the amount of history. So there is a world where a writer comes in at some point and pitches let's have him kind of, experiment with Stephanie again. I think you got a lot of time there. So there's possibility. And then Harley Ivy, absolutely. Harley Ivy's, you'll totally see them dating the opposite sex again. I believe it's random with them. If they have a story, they'll throw it in. It won't matter.
Now the question with Tim Drake, do his eyelashes go back to normal?
Never.
When he starts dating a woman again.
Well, with Riley Rossmo's art, he has no eyelashes. He's just like a Mad magazine character.
Well,
He looks like Selena
Riley
Kyle.
with Riley
Kinda.
Rossmo, he looks like a 10-year-old girl.
Yes.
They're trying to give him that Sanji, pussy hunter eyelashes thing, but it doesn't work.
Wade Tech Ted, can anyone clean house at DC and not be considered a hateful monster? Wishful thinking.
Well, does it matter?
Yeah.
Like if somebody's in charge, they come in and clean house. A bunch of people at Twitter are like, "You're a hateful monster." You know, the next day, who knows what will happen? I mean, some Arizona politician will like kick a dog, and then we'll be focused on that. So just take the pain for 24 hours. Will be fine.
I think
Zaslavs doesn't seem to care anyway.
I think the problem is you still have to find that person at the top, and even if they have
that, Doc.
No. I mean, and even if they have the, I guess, intestinal fortitude to weather that 24-hour news cycle storm, they still have to get people that are competent to hire below them. We're having trouble finding somebody to run at the top. We definitely can't find anybody to work below them.
Solid Gold CEO says, isn't the real issue that these companies just want cheap talent and they can't sweet talk with the promises of TV credits in the future?
It's a problem. Yeah, I mean there isn't enough money to get somebody to come in and go, I'm going to spend 5 years really doing this, and this is the best use of my time. If you believe you have a lot of different opportunities and you can do a lot of other things, why would you pick comics if it's something that you're going to spend 5-10 years of your life to? You'd have to either really love comics, and there are some, we've talked to them. You know, Mark Millar doesn't need to do this. He's still doing it because he loves comics. I think Murphy clearly loves comics. I know we disagree on Jeff Thorne, but he clearly loves comics. You're going to get people like that who love comics and want to do it for the money. But by and large, you've got to incent people to actually want to make this a career and get better.
Chris the Bliss from right here, the PI. You can de-age and de-gauge John Kemp by using the Mike Pence method. So he can't be in the room alone with boys?
Shit.
That's Mike Pence, right?
Yeah, just make his entire supporting cast all female all the time. Don't have anyone that's a male contemporary around him, and you can straighten him back out, I guess.
That could go either way, you know.
Yeah, if he's sitting around these hot chicks for 20 years and never talks to him or is interested, like, you kind of get the point. You know what I mean? Yeah. Interesting stuff there, Chris. We got Kenneth Dowling. I picked Jason Bourne because the other three have needed teams to help them. Even John Wick goes to the Continental for supplies. Jason Bourne has fought teams and government agencies, and they still can't catch him. Bourne wins.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's
that's the solidest threat to John Wick is Jason Bourne for sure, and this is why. But I still think Wick has the ability to be meaner with what he has on hand.
He goes to the Continental to get sewn up after he's murdered like 20 people.
Yeah,
that get in his way.
Kenneth, what I think you need to do is come up with a battle bracket of different badasses with different themes. And each
we'll put it in the community section and we'll vote on it.
Hell yeah.
Contest of Champions.
Absolutely. You saw John Wick 3, right, Jim?
Yeah.
In that movie, and it went beyond ridiculous. I didn't hate the movie, but I had to suspend my disbelief and all that stuff. Because once the clock goes down, the entire world tries to murder him all at the exact same time, and they still couldn't do it.
Nope. Yeah. That's why he wins. I mean, the world could not beat him. So, and like we said, he'll just shoot everybody in the face. That's just how it ends.
I like it when he grabs their arm, pulls them closer to him so he can shoot them while they're coming towards the bullet and gain momentum.
It's the
best. He saves
really
time.
That guy to die.
He saves time.
Plus, Jason Bourne never killed anyone with a pencil. You know what I mean?
And Jason Bourne is he always had people willing to help him too.
Well, they all died though.
Yeah, eventually.
Jason Bourne's pretty good though. I mean, a hand-to-hand fight with John Wick with no gun or knife on him, it would be interesting.
Agreed.
Yes.
But you know,
be better than that shitty Halloween movie.
You watched Halloween Ends? Was it good?
No, it was awful. Come on, that was an awful movie. She-Hulk had more action.
I haven't been to a movie in over 3 years. I'm going to go see Black Adam or Black Panther 2 next month with the 7-year-old.
Nice.
Go see One Piece Red. Have a good time.
It might not be in theaters, so which one should I see, Perch? I asked these bozos last time. Should I see Black Adam or Black Panther? 7-year-olds with me.
Oh, Black Adam. With the 7-year-old, Black Adam for sure.
He'll probably like that one more. Plus, he likes Shazam. He might get it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Plus, you got the huge spoiler in the end.
Well, he's not gonna. He doesn't care about stuff like that. But he will be mad at me if we have to wait for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
What are
your
we
kid's
doing
gonna
here?
like Black Adam a lot more. The Black Panther is gonna spend a lot of time trying to world build and
Make
Yeah.
you sad. And
yeah,
are you gonna wear white when you go to that movie, Perch?
that sounds racist.
Yeah, you know, because it's like a funeral.
You didn't have to explain it. No, I'm gonna go to one of those theaters that has beer. That's all I know.
Go to the Alamo Draft House. They'll have some specials.
They all have beer here now.
I'm just gonna not see it like I've done everything else after Spider-Man, No Way Home or Far From Home or whatever the fuck home it was.
Movies, Doc. It's only
Hey,
Doctor
maybe you
Strange.
could explain this to me with movies in Texas. So not this actually has nothing to do with movies, but here we go. So in Texas, so there's 2 types of strip joints here in Texas.
Yep.
There's bring your own beer, and then they reserve alcohol. So we serve alcohol, you get partial nudity.
Yes.
Bring your
Yes.
own beer, you get total nudity.
Okay.
To me, that seems like a dangerous prospect because the person coming in with their own alcohol, I mean, anything could be in there. A guy could be drinking kerosene.
But
You
it's
get
like
more-
it's an art house instead of
It-
a strip club. That's why they're allowed to do it.
It's well, partially that, but
Doc, are you from Texas?
no, but I've lived in Texas. And I guarantee I have spent more time in fucking strip joints than everyone here.
You are correct,
Wait,
sir.
whoa.
Well, I'll take that challenge.
Hey,
I will
being a
go ahead
chef,
and let you. I was gonna say I'll let you know it's not just Texas because California was the same way.
California.
But that's really strange
That's
because
the same way too.
things go more off the rails if you let people just bring in whatever they
Yes,
want.
but it has to do.
Absolutely.
That's
It has to
true.
do with the state's blue laws. Every state has some form of a blue law, and it's some sort of weird decency. It's the same reason why a lot of states you can't buy booze on a Sunday, because it's a morality issue. Yet at the same time, you can still go into
It's a
a
way
titty
around
joint.
stupid laws.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
it's the way around stupid laws because
Sure.
they'll allow nudity, they'll allow alcohol, but not full nudity where they sell alcohol.
Yeah,
The
but
one in
Uh,
Texas I went to, you went outside and they sold you the beer there.
We-
You brought
we
it
had
back in
a-
with you.
We
That's
had a
good.
joint. We had a joint here in Pittsburgh before they changed our laws in Pennsylvania, and the state threw it out where you couldn't. Well, you're still not allowed
All right.
to serve alcohol in male. They're not allowed to have fully nude
This
male.
one got really
clubs.
complex.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
It really did.
Jeez, what about the buffet? That's what I want to know.
No, the buffet always sucks. Never eat it.
Yeah, but still,
But
it's
so they had a male club downstairs that it is illegal for them to get fully nude, and they would have a $1 bottomless beer down there, or they'd sell alcohol down there. But then you'd go back upstairs that had a different address that was the fully nude female club. Now,
All right.
Look at how much-
all-
look how
we gotta
excited
keep
and
going on,
detailed.
guys. We're not going to derail the show this long.
But look how excited Doc got. Like there's more
I know.
information coming out than anything on comics in the last 2 hours.
He needs to have a channel like talking about strip clubs and ranking
Yeah.
and reviewing.
once
and stuff.
again, if I would do it, if
We
I did live streams, they would end up on Pornhub.
We need an X-Men
H-
title like
Hey!
Dazzler to the
Hey!
Sun.
All right. all
We're
right,
moving on.
Okay.
HH from Sigma Comics. Kenneth Dowling, Hector Gill, the Calico makes John Wick look like Gandhi. Facts. That is probably true. That is the most violent character I've ever seen in a movie or a comic book.
That is fair. Yeah.
If you want to see, I don't know what he would do to John Wick, but he would probably torture him. Something like that. Faux Peasy. Ethan is like Batman with prep time. Hard to find a way.
Yeah.
Is Ethan really like Batman?
Sort
Does he
of.
own that?
Yeah, he always has to make plans.
Yeah.
And he has contingencies for his plans.
Well, he does have the fake face. I've seen that before.
Yeah, because he's always got to set the masks up. He's got to figure out what way they're going to do the infiltration, and he always needs somebody on the inside, some code from something else. He needs prep time.
HH says Calico makes Jason Bourne look like Joe Quesada.
I don't.
Your comic's awesome, man.
Jason Bourne looked like Joe Quesada, like a middle-aged fat guy that doesn't fight. I like it. Get it, Dallig. Batman beats John Wick because Batman fights and beats guys who use guns on a regular basis. Batman wins. Come for me.
Those guys are afraid of Batman, though.
Yeah.
John Wick is not going to be afraid of Batman.
He'll kill Batman with a fucking pencil.
Yep,
Yeah.
Yes, you will.
He'll make him eat it.
exactly. On his other end.
Enjoy your dinner, Batman. As he murders him and moves on to the next character.
Here's some lead.
Say hi to your parents.
This went to like 90s action movies so fast.
Exactly.
Michael Johnson Curry, why is comic art at the big two so wildly inconsistent right now? How are people getting picked breaking in now? I think a lot of it has to do with page rate and availability. There's so many big things going on, like in crowdfunding and also like on Substack, where you don't need to work for Marvel and DC. And there's other ways that you can make money with your art nowadays, where you don't even need to work in comic books. Like you could do a Facebook page if you get enough people visiting your page and you're creating new stuff. Like you could make like $10,000 a month.
This guy's a great artist, though. This Michael Johnson Curry is a good artist. I mean, legitimately a good artist. And the problem is it really is convenience for a lot of the editors and the people picking right now. It's like, who do I have in my Rolodex? Who do I know? I'm picking that person.
Deadlines.
They work cheap. You know, I'm not going to get fired because I picked this person who's maybe not great, but I know 20 days from now the pages are going to be here and I'm not going to care.
And they are weirdly popular with the vocal Twitterati that are broke communists that don't spend money on the product. And they think that eventually, if you keep hiring enough of those, the Tumblr style artists, those favorites,
Yeah.
no. Eventually, they might convert some of those people into readers that like that art style, but it never works. But they'll just keep doing it until it works.
There's a lot less artists on Twitter these days, and the ones that are there are largely quiet. I mean, there are some, but there's less. It's more sad. It really is just, here's somebody who will work for sub $100 a page, and they will turn the pages in, and I know them, and I've got 20 books to write, so I don't have to think about it. And the I don't have to think about it is, it's a huge factor right now, and it's a shame.
Kenneth says, Josh, I will take you up on that prospect, buddy. Meanwhile, Wes, did you guys watch the board in John Wick trilogies and let's decide who's the best? I watched it both.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, what is he taking? Are you guys going to fight to the death?
I mean, I'd hate to do that to my boy Kenneth, but
He knows you're from Texas, right? You got shit kickers, right?
I got shit. Look, I've got a wall of guns too, so don't come to my house. No, he's talking about the prospect of doing the battle bracket.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Let's do a tournament. I'll put it in the community tab. People like polls. That's what I'm told. Do people like polls, Perch?
Yeah.
What are we asking?
The strippers like polls.
We're asking the viewers. Oh,
Nailed it.
Never mind.
That's
Kenneth
what she said.
Dowling. How is John Wick killing Batman with the pencil when he wears a cow?
John
Love
Wick
you,
finds a
Ha.
way.
There's
Finds
no
a way.
cow over his mouth.
Or it could
But they
probably
can
go through his
swallow it.
eye holes too.
Yeah.
Wes, that should
Well,
just be.
depending on
I
the
mean, not
artist.
Wes. Perch, that should be your new line, and just the most random times. Like, talk about something that's not even involving John Wick, and then just be like, John Wick finds a way, and then
He does find a way. Yeah. Absolutely. That wouldn't be that hard.
no, it really wouldn't.
That is the Perch version of the "Life Finds a Way" meme.
Yeah.
John
It's like,
Wick
hey,
finds a way.
they actually have milk at the grocery store on a Sunday. John Wick finds a way.
Yeah.
Perch, let's say that DC Comics decides we need something big, a big crossover. We just use Spawn. John Wick versus Batman at DC Comics. How many copies do they sell of this one shot?
Matt Rosenberg's writing it.
No, we'll go with my goodness, Matt.
It wouldn't
Matt
sell
writing
well.
Berserker.
Matt Kent.
Matt Kent writes it. Ron
Yeah,
Garney.
unfortunately, I don't think it sells well. Those kinds of crossovers don't.
You were so unfun today. What happened to you? You used to be
I
a
know.
hoot.
I used to be a hoot. Yeah.
Batman Predator sold money.
Yeah, a long time ago. The
In
new one
90s.
in the 90s.
You don't
Yeah.
think Batman Spawn's going to sell units?
Yeah, it'll sell. I mean, based on the people involved, but you're selling it based on the creator. So I mean, I guess look, if you're going to do Batman, John Wick, you're going to put Capullo on it. You're going to put, you're going to sell it that way.
Or, Keanu Reeves co-writing it.
I think people are expecting this Mark Silvestri Batman to sell like 150, 200,000 copies. It will not. I love Mark, and you're talking to like Mark Silvestri, easily one of my top 5 artists.
I think the bloom is a little bit off the rose on all this stuff at this point, especially the crossovers. They're just not going to sell the way they did. Period.
Well, and it's also we're in a world, and this is where I think the comic stuff is really off track. Is that a lot of the collectors, the buyers, they want their continual story. They the one shot's fine, but they really want kind of the serial comic reading that they're used to when I came to the table in the first place. They want to dig in, so they might be excited for a one shot, one-off stunt, but what does that really mean? It's not like there's not gonna be a storyline in that thing that's gonna like last for the next 3 years in Batman. It's gonna be one and done.
Yeah, well, I've said this before. Like, there's 3 ingredients that really sell superhero comics.
Oh man, we can't go into this diatribe, Doc.
No,
we're an hour and a half.
Okay. Interconnected stories, unending stories, and superheroes. That's it. It just has to all continue, and they have to intertwine.
That they do. You do have to do. And when the interconnected stories, when the ongoing stories are good, you can sell these one shots and they make lots of money. When they're bad or when it's down, you may still get the stunt purchase, but you're not going to get the same kind of numbers. That's my point, I guess.
Yeah, it's one-time money instead of an ongoing purchase.
Wade Tech 10, Batman's fought the best of the best and won. He has the high ground. I'm not saying Batman will be easy.
You had a whole agenda for this show, and this is the topic now.
It was an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Batman's just beating actual powered up people, I guess. I get the idea, but I just think John Wick would shoot him in the mouth. I've seen him do it before. Goblin Sense, who would win, Honor, Guest, Silencer, or John Wick? John Wick, not even close.
Yeah.
Even if he couldn't see her, he would just accidentally murder her.
Have we seen Silencer recently at all, anywhere?
She was in Dark Crisis.
Yes.
She was on the side panel.
God, what a waste.
Yeah.
That's pathetic.
Kenneth says Batman John Wick would sell so much money it sells itself. Death by pencil in the eye or mouth would work. Good point, Wes.
No, John Wick has never sold comics. He's made good money on movies. There's been John Wick comics.
Because VIL was writing it or something?
There's been a couple of different John Wick little miniseries. They don't fucking sell.
I heard
they don't matter.
He will find a way.
He will find a way. He will find a way to sell.
Never crossed over with Batman though. That's where it's at.
Just do it.
You can't sell a John Wick comic book any more than you could do an Indiana Jones comic, or in some cases for a long period of time, a Star Wars comic, because everybody knows that the movies are what's going to happen, and this stuff is all just playtime. Doesn't really matter. And so that's the problem with John Wick. You can do a comic, but he's not going to die. Nothing's really major going to happen there. And the action that you get in the comics is going to pale in comparison to what's in the movie. So why would you buy it?
Very good point. Let's move on to this next topic. We might be able to get through 2 of them this week, but we're having a good time. She-Hulk gave a big FU to fans. A lot of people felt that way when they watched the She-Hulk finale a couple weeks ago. And it turns out that they weren't just seeing things there, Jim. We actually heard from the writer of the show as well as the star that basically let you know the last 5 to 10 minutes of that episode were absolutely a fuck you to fans. Was this effective? I mean, it was good communication because people got it.
Yeah, people got it. The weird play of it is that this seems to have been set up, years ago. They're very proud to say that they set up what they thought was going to be the people that would be mad at them so they could give them the middle finger at the end. But instead of changing things to make a better show, they decided to just go with that plan. But yeah, I mean, the idea, how many stories have you talked about yourself, Wes, about, G4, this, all that, Megan Fitzmartin giving the finger to fans? It's not a great idea.
Perch, you talked to a lot of insiders in comic books and entertainment. Why is it exciting to tell the people that are funding your project to go screw themselves?
Well, I mean, first of all, they don't see it that way. They see it as it's a small group of fans. They're like, this is the 10% of people who are just, or even less. They're like
yeah, but the other 90% get it.
Well, yeah, it's a dumb. Well, the point is, so what? So you did this episode and you had your coup de grace. Haha! Look, the meta commentary about trolls and all the rest. Yay! I mean, what did you win? Did you win anything? Did you convert? Did suddenly everybody rise up and say, "Oh my God, I've now realized the error of my ways. I now realize that the fans can't be this. I now realize I should be better." Did you make a lot of money? Did you get an Academy Award? Like, what was the victory here that you got? You told this story, but it's like an old story at this point. We've had this battle forever. You didn't even do anything new. Part of the idea of creating art is you do something new. So what was gained anywhere?
A smug sense of self-satisfaction. That's it.
Dunking on the Chads.
Yeah, I think we're hitting that era. We're slowly coming to where people are like, that doesn't pay bills or heat my house or feed my cats or whatever it happens to be. Like there's got to be more in life than like, oh look, we got some white dudes on YouTube and they're like angry and then we make fun of them and hilarious. Okay.
You're given this opportunity to be on television and to produce something that could turn you on as a lifetime fan, and then you use it to just dunk on the chuds.
Well,
that's.
I mean, I'm not upset with it. I mean, I watched She-Hulk with my kids. They lost interest. The peak of that show was She-Hulk shaking her ass, which my younger daughter found hilarious. And was what her big miss. She's like, Dad, they missed it. They should have had her fart. It was a perfect moment for farting, and they didn't do it. And that was her takeaway of the entire show.
Would have saved that moment.
Look, let's be perfectly honest. The reason why none of these creators involved in this is going to be the peak of their career. It was the peak of their career. It will always be the peak of their career. And they will never go beyond this point is because they use their one shot at greatness to just piss on people. When you have people who that is their look, this was their goal. They wanted to have a smug sense of self-satisfaction. They achieved it. Now they're going to fuck back off into irrelevancy wherever they came from.
Josh, they came from Hollywood, which is where you came from. Was this a prevailing feeling amongst the writers there? Or is this just like maybe this group?
I mean, that's a loaded question. You got a lot of people right now that they're going to try to conform. LA in general, they're going to try to conform to whatever the social norms are, and you see it even in comics that they're going to praise things and support people publicly, and dote over them and gush over them, and then behind the scenes they're just going to talk shit about them behind their backs. Jessica Gal, the creator, even kind of did this to a degree. She jokingly made comments about a interaction she had with Kevin Feige. She did throw Kevin Feige under the bus concerning Scar. Like, she didn't want him in the show. Kevin Feige wanted him there. But what hasn't come out publicly is yes, as far as the whole like fourth wall breaking and stopping the show and having the Kevin AI, that was planned from the beginning. That was in the pitch. It was one of the things they liked about it. Last week I even said that could have been an excellent moment had they set it up better throughout the series of leading up to that. What did change and what wasn't part of the plan is how they wrapped up the storyline, because it's out there, you can find it. We were originally supposed to get them delivering blood to the leader, and that was going to lead into Captain America. And they opted not to do it. One, because I think it's predictable. It's the formula that they've done for all these Marvel shows. But what they chose to do outside of that instead is just even worse, because you didn't get a wrap up to any of your storylines. And I think that's what makes all of this, even worse, is you now carried a show for 9 episodes, poorly building a plot, but they were building a plot. And then in the last episode, you're like, JK, it's all wrapped up, but we didn't actually wrap anything up. Have fun, kids. And that on top of the talking down to people. And look, I will forever be someone to come in and say, if you go back and watch the earlier episodes, everyone was terrible. It wasn't just man bashing. Like, the women are portrayed in a bad light as well. There's like 2 or 3 characters that are halfway decent characters. But like you got the guys that are predators, and then you got the girls in the bathroom that all they're concerned with is, oh my god, you look like shit, let's put makeup on you, when clearly she went through like there's bad characters there. But they just completely, the FU I think is twofold of talk shit about people through the series, and then you don't have an end to your story, and you think it's funny that you don't have an end to your story. You're just like, hey, we spent 9 episodes and all this stuff we built up. Oops.
Hollywood in general believes it's a post-success, post-sales industry. Entertainment in general, because it's been so much easy money for the last decade with the advent of streaming, the way that box offices have been increasing. It's all easy money to them. So they can afford to go tell people to fuck off. All the people that they don't like, they can afford to tell them to fuck off. They're safe. They don't have to worry about anything. Eventually reality will catch up to them, and I'm fine with it waiting, and I'm just going to sit back and laugh and watch. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, but I think the passion, and there was certainly a lot of channels and people were like, this show sucks, and attacking men and everything else, but it feels like that's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And, the writers seem to want to tell a story of, look, we're going to get this predictable reaction. We're going to point and laugh. And then those people are going to point and laugh at us. And then we're going to like pee on each other. And it's just, and then, it's a kink for some people, whatever. But at some point, like, doesn't this all get tiring to everybody? Who's going to tire out first? Because the meat of the show, and I think Josh said it really well, it didn't go anywhere. So regardless of whether it's a good show, bad show, it didn't work. It didn't go anywhere. And you can poke fun at the Marvel model, and the Marvel model is predictable and old. You don't want to poke too much fun at that because it does make them $1 billion. So, I mean, if Disney had their way, all this stuff aside, they would just keep turning the crank and make, Captain America 40, where it's the same shit over and over again because it makes them cash until it doesn't. So, I mean, all of this just feels tired. It feels super, super tired to me. And I'm wondering who gets tired of the joke first. I think the fans are getting tired of it first, quite frankly.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I'm tired
I'm
of it.
so tired of it.
And that's why I just don't watch anymore. I don't hate watch. I don't bitch about it. I just let it fail in silence.
Anyway,
I think that's the way to handle it. Let it fail
drop
in
the mic.
silence.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what the people have to say. We're going back to John Wick. Dylan Lindsay, Deathstroke versus John Wick. John Wick, easy. Sorry, Cal.
Callum's
Really
going to flip out. Speaking
But
of
this
people
is-
getting
this is
tired
like-
of things.
How sad is it? This is another movie character. So you're talking about a movie. The people in the chat they want to go back to John Wick. What's the lesson there?
John Wick
Wick's
rules.
really
But-
deadly, man.
But a
Pretty great
nerd
comic
argument.
books.
The big lesson is a nerd argument. Like literally just this quintessential stereotypical comic shop argument of who would win in a fight is more interesting than the actual media being created with these that studios and IP holders are spending millions and millions of dollars to create, and we don't give a fuck anymore. We'd rather just have a fight in our head.
Although nobody should technically be able to beat Deathstroke because he took that those performance enhancing drugs, and now he can use in his entire mind, and he's in peak physical condition. Like he should be able to anticipate things before you even do them. So
Problem is it shrinks his balls.
Yeah.
listen, man, shrinkage happens. You know what I mean?
It's shrinkage.
It was worth it. He's got kids.
It makes
it's not like
hey,
they don't work.
Plenty of kids, yeah.
when the berries shrink, it makes the twig bigger. By
That's what people
comparison.
tell themselves. Yes.
Yeah.
Jesus, Doc.
Exactly.
Perspective.
Smaller the berries, the sweeter the juice.
Wow.
No.
Hmm.
And Probby says, when will Perch get a liquor license and create the regular comic shop bar? Add strippers to the mix when you franchise docks areas and make comics cool again.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan.
Strippers and funny books. Yes.
Yeah.
All of them will end up smelling like terrible cologne, or terrible perfume.
Can you
And then-
imagine all the glitter on the
glitter.
comic books?
Now-
And talcum powder.
my question, and this is one that I've never thought about. What we all know what sunlight exposure does over long periods of time to comic books. What does neon light do
Makes them better.
Over the course of
Probably pop better.
Yeah, in the store, but I mean, does it cause fading? I'm curious.
You got in a lap dance. What do you care?
Doc's getting some crab legs at the buffet.
Somebody's getting crabs somewhere, but
Exactly.
Doc's
Perch,
talking about
when are you going
Neon
to
Light.
start combining your two great loves, drinking and comic books, officially?
And I have to do that now just to get through some of these comic books.
Yeah, my goodness.
Yeah.
What happened to
Maybe
drinks
quit.
and comics? Are you going to start doing your Friday stream again?
One of these days. I'm doing. One of these days, I need to. I'm. No one would ever guess what I do right now for a living. It would. Let's not all speculate here, but it's very crazy.
Can I
You're
guess?
not?
You can guess.
I
Guys,
think I know.
Perch,
Drug mule.
Yeah,
Perch
that's actually
is-
somewhat close.
Perch is John Wick.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You're working IT for the
killer.
pharmaceutical industry.
Nope.
There you go.
Anyway, this is a boring game. We need to keep his show better.
Absolutely. You guys are ruining it. I was on fire. Goblin says, can't understand why they keep hiring these people who don't care about heroes. MCU writers are not being the bigger person. They are giving oxygen to the fire and proving criticism of the show right. If you don't like trolls and your idea to make them look bad is to troll them, I think you've missed the point.
Not
What
wrong.
do you think, Josh? Two
No,
wrongs
I was
make a
just
right?
going to say, it's a twofold thing here because we've got they're hiring people to come in and write these shows, and they're trying to find people that understand writing television because it's a different medium. So they're trying to get someone that understands the medium to come in and write the medium, but they also don't understand the character. So then you get people in there that quote unquote understand the character to help them out. In the case of She-Hulk, you had like freaking Zeb Wells. You can find better people.
Cody Ziegler, Rick and Morty.
Yeah, he's a TV writer, and I think you need a balance of both. It's not working
I
out
think
well.
they should never hire anyone from Rick and Morty ever again for comic
Oh,
book Morty.
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Oh, no.
That
Rick and
fucking
Morty
show
also
is
isn't.
terrible.
Yeah, Rick and Morty. I don't mind Rick and Morty, but Rick and
I
Morty
love Rick
is
and Morty.
not your. It's not your typical television format. So if you want to have a writer there to do some jokes, fine. Like there were plenty of jokes in She-Hulk that I laughed at. Do I think it was a good show? No.
Yeah, Rick and Morty ruins everything, Perch.
Look,
Yeah.
if they're
Love Rick
smart,
and Morty.
if Marvel was smart, they would steal somebody from Netflix or HBO because the leaders in that company know how to write damn good television that bring people in.
So the trick with She-Hulk is that the original, or not the original, but the John Byrne comic book, it broke the fourth wall. It did these jokes, but the purpose and the thrust of it was that it was the fans were the readers. The jokes were on the readers' behalf. The jokes were like, "Hey, can you believe these dummies at Marvel are doing this? And can you believe that
Not
John
their
Byrne's
expense.
cheaping out on this?" That was the joke. In the show, they took the same format, but the jokes weren't for the watchers and the fans. The jokes were for the writers. The writers were, look at these dummies on YouTube. Look at those people. So it was the same idea, but it was pointed in a different direction. And that's why it feels so weird. That's why when you watch it, you're like, this kind of feels like John Byrne a little bit. It kind of feels like that run I remember, but the jokes are off. The jokes are, it's thrust outward, not inward. And that's what made the original She-Hulk comic work, is because they like crapping on Nocenti and Wheezy and Byrne and all these people. And that was funny because the fans were allowed to come along on that ride. That's the fundamental difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah,
Mr.
because it's self-referential humor rather than malicious humor aimed at the people that you're expecting to pay for it.
Mr. DC Comics says, glad to see Perch on the show. Hope he shows up more. The Rock is a DC guy. He actually trying to listen to the fans. Black Adam was great.
Thank you.
Perch, are you going to
Nice
show
feedback.
up more?
I can,
Is this
yeah.
Once a year thing?
We can do once a year. No, I'll show up more, sure.
Yay.
I mean, we have to stop feuding because we hate each other. So
Okay.
Listen,
you
we
two-
got to settle this live on air. Well, you need to do it on your channel, and then I'll rebut, and we'll just go back and forth.
what are we arguing about again?
Arby's.
That's what I'm unclear about. Is it Arby's?
Probably, I guess
The
it
Big
is.
Montana.
Arby's.
You're just fussing and a feuding.
The fucking.
Yeah.
How
I
could
don't
you
know.
not like the Big Montana? So in the Curlies, you don't like Arby's Curlies, really?
Yeah, I know the curly fries are great. They're just, Jack in the Box's curly fries are great. I mean, they're fine.
They're not Arby's good though.
Yeah, but I'm not going to go to Arby's for fries.
Do you just
Come on.
not like roast beef, or do you not like high quality roast beef? What is it?
I like high quality roast beef. I like things that's actually beef.
Yeah.
That's mostly beef.
That is
There's some
Mostly.
stuff to bind it
I
together,
like that-
but it's beef.
I love that you finally admitted it's mostly beef.
What is beef?
Yeah, well, there's
I
a
like all
binding
beef.
agent. A lot of things have a little extra ingredient in them.
No, they don't. No.
Jesus.
You think McDonald's chicken nuggets are all chicken?
No. Are we really saying like we're going to go to the peak of 100% food and we're going to go to McDonald's chicken nuggets as our example?
McDonald's chicken nuggets are delicious.
Yes, they are, but let's not. I'm not going to go to McDonald's and say, "Hey, this burger that can be fine as fast food is great. It's comparable to your Wagyu beef." You're not going to. There's two different
Oh, I
things.
forgot. You have classy taste. I'm in the Philippines. We don't get Wagyu beef.
You know, I'm here in Texas where there's a steak around every corner.
That's
right.
ironic because you're closer
They
to
sell
the
you
can.
caribou here and tell you it's beef.
I
You know what I'm saying?
yikes. I mean, why am I going to Arby's when there's like 5 billion places that have meat everywhere here?
Do they have
why
racks
in-
at least?
What's that?
Do they have racks at least?
Yeah, they do.
Oh, you guys still got racks?
Yes.
Rax is
Basically,
crazy.
and almost as good as an Arby's.
Almost God.
I haven't had racks since I was like 8.
Yeah, remember they had the dinosaur guy was the mascot, right?
Yeah.
Perch may be stupid, but at least he knows Arby's is bad. Well, at least I've got that for you.
Edith Dally. That She-Hulk finale was pure laziness and storytelling. That showrunner should be ashamed of herself, and the lead actress is complacent in this as well. That's probably the problem, Josh. 3 years.
I mean, yeah, it literally. So if you go and listen to interviews that have happened with Jessica Gao, it really sounds like she just kind of was like checked out, got done with it, didn't enjoy the process, and then made some decisions kind of as a FU to Marvel, but it was ultimately an FU to fans. Publicly, they're
Too
gonna.
bad he didn't fire her over that hat thing like they were going to do.
I mean,
that would
At
have
the
been
point the
perfect.
show was done, like, you know, that's probably why she, like, if you're gonna threaten to walk, do it earlier. You know, come on, grow a pair. As for Tatiana Maslany, like, look, she's under a contract. She's not gonna talk shit about the show.
Well,
Yeah.
she didn't have to talk shit about the fans. Like in the interview, she said it was delightful that it was an FU to fans. That was a
Yeah.
bad
She's
idea.
been,
on her part.
but that's on brand. She's been that way for years.
She has been. She's
She's nothing new was done there.
yeah, pro agenda. Like she
There's
she
a
pushes-
reason. There's a reason why she's barely worked since Orphan Black was over.
No, she did. What's it?
She-
It's fine. These people are all doing being themselves, and right now somewhere. But this is the thing. Right now, somewhere, probably not, but somewhere, somebody on the show is like finding this show and like, aha, look at them. They're mad about our show again. Hooray! Yeah. And they're drinking their Chardonnay at 8 a.m. and petting their cats and cool.
It's wine o'clock, Perch.
Yeah, but my question to you, that weird cat rubber with the wine right now. So what are you going to do next? So in like 20 minutes, this will be over. People have gone on something else. Like, what are you going to do next with your life? Are you going to go out and get some more cat food? Are you going to enjoy your life? What are you going to do with your life?
After I dunk
Arby's,
on this
hopefully.
chat, I'm gonna clean the cat box.
You going to go have some Arby's? What are you going to do?
Salvatore Martode says, "Will CM Punk end up being pro wrestling's version of Alan Moore in 20 years? The previous
5
owner of that
years.
title was
He's
Bruno
already
Sammartino.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's that now.
He's that now.
Yeah.
Well, he seemed rejuvenated when he first came back to AEW, but that didn't last very long.
He can't help himself. I mean, I think he's a great performer. He can certainly get a camera on him, but he just has to take it and make it more and more about himself. And I don't know. He cannot seem to help himself.
I canceled my AEW subscription on Fight TV. I couldn't take all the stupid fighting anymore that was behind the scenes. I was like, what is this going on? They keep ruining main events now.
Yeah.
Can't even.
They
count
all
on
seem
it.
to get there. TNA got there. WCW is like this is not. They think it's more interesting to fans than it is. It's not that. Just again, it's like the comics, compelling stories. Just do compelling stories. You don't give a shit what you did in the back.
Yeah. Yul Carter's happy about it because he doesn't like good wrestling. Lane Kramer. Video challenge, Perch. Do a video where you try to make DC White Rabbit and Marvel White Rabbit characters interesting together when they look like Playboy bunnies.
That's
Pretty
a very
specific.
specific ask. I mean, okay, sure.
Maybe
Sure.
you could animate it or something. I don't know.
I love you, Lane Kramer, so I'll give it a shot.
That's the challenge. Can he make it a 5,000 view video. That sounds rough.
That is a challenge for me these days. Yeah. Fucking YouTube.
It's getting rougher and rougher. I'll tell you. Kenneth says, Wes, I really created a monster day with that hero fight. I don't want to derail your played topics. Oh, that's fine. The only person that got mad was Callum, right? Not that we want to make Callum Lyle mad.
No, Callum got mad about She-Hulk.
I thought he got mad about John Wick.
I think he got mad about
I
it
think
all.
he's just mad.
Well, that too.
He's in Australia. I'm sorry, brother. I know it's late there like it is here.
I didn't see the Please Move On until you mentioned She-Hulk, and that's when I saw them, and I was
think it was delayed. It happens. But I think he mentioned specifically the John Wick fight, but that was good stuff. I think John Wick takes out everybody. I think John Wick could whoop Superman's ass. You know what I mean? It's like, did you know Superman, if you shoot him in the tonsils, he dies?
All you have to know is that I guarantee once somebody told John Wick that Thanos snapping killed half the dogs, Thanos is fucking dead.
Oh, yeah.
Done.
Thanos tries to wipe out half the dogs. He's not going to pull a Thor. He's going to aim for the head. You know what I mean?
And the ball chin.
Ball chin, huh?
Yeah, the ball sack chin.
Chin
looks like a ball sack.
You probably covered this on the show previously, but what are the thoughts on DC Comics Ultra Tier? Do you think we'll see a bump in revenues from it? Great show today. Absolutely, they're going to see a bump in revenues from it because people that are on digital at DC Universe, the Ultra Tier, I imagine to a lot of them is going to be worth it because you get the new comics within 30 days and you get access to a much larger back catalog, Perch. I think they shouldn't put the new comics behind a paywall, but I think it will garner interest.
Yeah, for sure. No, it will give them some money. It's a good. I mean, it's what they got to do. What are you going to do? It's what they have to do at this point. But something made Josh laugh very hard.
More.
It was your comment in the chat, so I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The sex bot is gone. I removed them.
Yeah, we replaced. Porn bot normally shows up.
Bot.
We replaced it with hooker bot. This.
Yeah, sorry about that.
This entire thing.
So is the Ultra Tier worth it, Perch? Do you think Marvel's going to try to come back with their version?
Yeah, I Marvel will have to. This will now. Marvel's wanted to. I think that now this makes them. They're everybody's playing the game like we don't want to piss off the shops. The funny thing is, I don't think this pisses off the shops as much as people think. It's going to piss off some of the shops, but not most of them. And so I think that this bursts that bubble. So now Marvel will follow suit, and then we'll be in this race. But so we'll see the money kind of shift around. But at the end of the day, those comics that are coming out sooner, day and date, they do have to be good. So you're going to have to. At some point, you're going to have to solve that little problem.
Absolutely. Exploding Pretty says, Perch, would you consider doing a review of the manga Night of the Living Cat with your kids?
Yeah, sure. I feel bad. I haven't been on for a while, and thank you guys for first of all giving Wes money because he deserves it, and second asking me all the questions. But ask some of these other guys questions; they're smarter than me.
You don't want to hear from those guys. You want to hear from Perch. He's a superstar.
Yeah. Fuck Perch.
What? No one says that.
I say that.
Well, you're an idiot, sir.
His wife might say it sometimes too.
Maybe
she does it, but in a very different way.
So there we go. Kenneth Dowling. John Wick kills the DC universe. He couldn't resist. I'm telling you, It's $1 million idea, Perch.
It's worth the shot. I mean, sure.
The juice is worth the squeeze. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if we can use some more puns and whatever in here.
We don't like squeeze. Yeah.
Let's get through one more topic. I know that Sully was frothing at the mouth to talk about this. He mentioned it earlier. When Heroes in Crisis came out, he was so pissed off, he ripped the Robin patch off of his own stuff and started burning comic books because that's how pissed off he was. Turns out Tom King regrets calling it Heroes in Crisis. He thinks he should have called it Sanctuary, and maybe he shouldn't have used Wally West. But I think there was more wrong with that. With it than that.
Well,
hit it, Sully. This is your moment.
Me? Oh, well, okay. I mean, that was a comic book that horrified me, literally. I was literally upset by that. This is a whole. I applaud great renditions of and representations of mental health in comics. This was far from it. Sanctuary had literally no medical oversight. There, just a bunch of robots programmed by the Trinity. And then this is a sensitive subject. We were talking about self-deletion in Wally West, and there was that moment where he was about to commit that act. And there was just absolutely no sensitivity on DC Comics' behalf. I thought that was abhorrent, or that they would have thought that like maybe that what they were doing was maybe a little controversial. Whose lives, we're human beings, who hasn't been touched by the horrible reality of self-deletion? And here comes Wally West with a double of himself from the future about to commit a horrible act like this. And I was just blown away by this lack of sensitivity. And it really, really soured me on DC Comics up until about a couple of months ago, when you guys started telling me to buy, Action Comics, Flash, and Zdarsky's Batman. And I'm very glad that I've been listening to you guys and started buying DC Comics again and going and supporting my local comic book shop. But I mean, seriously, Heroes in Crisis was it was upsetting. And yeah, it
was upsetting. I think Tom King regrets writing a shitty story that changed 7 times throughout the whole thing, and pretty much setting up a mystery that was never a mystery you couldn't play along with, and just not even getting in. It's telling that when he says I should have had different characters in it, it's because they were assigned to him, and he said, that's great, but that's what a lot of his books seem to be anyway. It's not that he had a story that he pitched that fit the characters. He was told to do this. He ended up pushing that it was going to be about mental health, and that was the big thing going into it, even at the point where he said he was going to go to some crisis centers ahead of time to get a little research and stuff, and then announced that he's not going to do that because it didn't fit his story. And the whole thing was just, it was a mess the whole way through. And then he had to have wow moments like Superman's speech, things like that. But what about stuff like Lois, who ends up getting some of the most sensitive information about, patients and releasing it to the world? I mean, it should have been just out right there. And Superman was right there going, I think that's a great idea, honey. Thumbs up. It's just, Tom King has no idea how and what things like this would work in the real world. He just went with it as a trope to try to, push some sales and make people think he's sensitive or whatnot. And I do think that he has some care for it, but he did not do any research. And you're right, Eric, the worst part was that mental health angle where the Trinity should be arrested right now for the crap that they tried to pull in that with these robots, and you don't get to see anybody, and just the whole thing. Plus, just to put out there that the continuity in that book, there was none. You were in this thing. You had characters that were talking about things that didn't happen in the world they were living at that one point, characters that were coming, which is fine, but it just, nothing ended up. And I still want to know who that Green Lantern was that
Me
died,
too.
that they never ended up saying anything about. People figured it was Simon Baz, but
my money's on Baz.
And the thing was just a complete wreck. It was a complete wreck from the start. And calling it a crisis was ridiculous. But there's Tom King. He keeps doing this. He does it, not as much now, but before it was always that person told me to do this. And I should have said something then. But it's a joke.
Yeah. And then top it all off as a way to conclude a legitimate story. Tom King uses two Deus Ex Machinas. Yeah. Literally the Blue Beetle, Booster, and Harley falling from the sky like a literal Deus Ex Machina to sort out the situation. And then cloning himself, just get a dead clone body to leave behind as the clue. I mean, just it's just
everything was bad with that.
Harley Quinn being reborn.
Poison Ivy being reborn.
Poison Ivy,
or Harley with superpowers.
I mean, she beat the Trinity. That it was. I think it's an interesting thing because I think had he finished the story with a better approach to the mental illness aspect, I think it would have been less bad. I actually put it this way. I think if he had done an original story without actually using actual DC characters and use archetypes to represent like those characters in a way, kind of like what Watchmen did, and he had this approach, I think it would have been better received. But when you're taking actual characters and changing them to the degree that they are, you're destined to fail. Like,
well, he was going to do a thing on mental health, which should have been a smaller, more intimate story, and then calling it a crisis made it too big, and then he just got stuck between everything.
Yeah, I still feel like he wasn't being completely honest in this interview, because he was dead set on calling this book Sanctuary a year before they actually started marketing it. And I remember because he brought it up at 2 different Comic-Cons. So there was one year that he was talking about it and what he wanted to do, and it was going to be like just a little mini series, and then they were going to have Sanctuary infused into different titles. And then a year later, that's when they had
probably got one of those pins in the mail.
Yeah. Hey, we've got Heroes in Crisis. It's going to be, and I think at first it was just a 6-issue mini, and then it turned into like 7 or 8 or however many it was. I think there were a lot of hands in the pot, but he made bad choices, and he went with bad choices. And we all know he had the clout to be able to say no and get away with it, because he got a freaking editor fired. So he does have some ownership here.
Yeah.
He absolutely does.
To be honest,
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
No, please. You first.
Well, okay. I fell down the rabbit hole watching an Old West and Josh video from last year when you were going over the worst parts of Heroes in Crisis. And you asked a legit question, like, what DC superhero could, no DC superhero could have done this? I think maybe even Booster Gold, has the moral turpitude to have done this. I think, you asked a question.
He has time travel in him and stuff like that.
Yeah, and a shifty morality. So I think Booster could have been a better, whodunit.
Just leading into that, though, in the regular Batman run, Tom King had really screwed with Booster as well. I mean, he couldn't write him either.
He sounded like that dude. What was the show? It was on. I think it was on FX. It was a cartoon where it was a cart. Archer. Like James. He sounded like Archer. That's how he wrote Booster Gold.
Yeah.
Whenever I read the character, that's the only voice I could hear.
Well, he said at one point that he thought Booster Gold was like Archer. I mean, Tom King made that comparison. But one of the consistent things about Tom King, it's the stuff I've never been able to really get past with him, is that he frequently does it wasn't my fault because of this other thing. And even the editor got fired. He bragged about it. And then later it's like, well, they just asked, it was other people who really made that choice. I just made my opinion known. It wasn't really. He backtracks his stuff. The same thing with Alfred, the same thing with a lot of these guys. Knowing a couple of the editors, people involved, I mean, he did want to make several of these choices. It's the stuff you're seeing now in interview is absolutely the fans don't like it, and now I'm trying to say, no, it wasn't me. And I can't respect that. That's my biggest issue with Tom King, is that he consistently backs away from.
When he talks and giggles after something, that's usually when he's lying or trying to change things. He does it all the time.
Yeah.
The person that he really should apologize to is Jeremy Adams, who's writing a wonderful Flash comic book starring Wally West and his family, and people just are so scared to read a Wally West book now, Perch.
All of it. No, I mean, just own your stuff. And not every idea works out. And he does, somebody said in the show, he wants to do his own Watchmen. He's desperately trying to make his own version of that. I don't think he has the talent of an Alan Moore to do it, but you own it. Own your good, own your bad. You can't, everything that, isn't liked, you can't turn around. I mean, hell, this Batman wedding to Catwoman, he came out and said that, DC was the one who really pushed this as an idea. And that I was trying to soft pedal it more, but they planned all these parties and everything else. And they were the ones, and I was kind of against it, but that's bullshit. If you look at his interviews, he was 100% definitive. It is absolutely going to happen. This marriage is going to happen. He was that's from his own mouth. That's what he was going to say.
He was on TV and said it.
Yeah, he did. So I think own your stuff, and for whatever else, that's my biggest beef with Tom King, is he just cannot own his own mistakes.
Absolutely. I got bigger beefs though. It's his variety. He's just always destroying characters. Who's he going to destroy in Danger Street?
Everyone.
He's going for Dr.
Who's in it? Who's in Danger Street?
All the characters that are in it is the answer.
Yes, everyone.
Yeah.
And there will be a fucking snack tray or something.
Well, so Deceased has Adam Strange in it for just a brief period of a moment. So there's Tom Taylor doing Deceased. Continues to be a decent book. It's fun. It's good to read. When I saw Adam Strange appear on that page with his family, my first thought was, oh yeah, here's the guy who, my first thought was Tom King's run. And I hate that that's become what's happened now. These characters get polluted to the point that even if it's not the main continuity, Deceased is not the main continuity. Now we think of that every single time some of these characters show up. When Guy Gardner shows up and Ice shows up, you're going to think about her screwing around on him and getting shot. That's now what's stuck in people's heads, and it sucks.
But that's just the Jason Aaron effect. It's the exact same thing, but for DC.
I know you dislike Jason Aaron, but Jason Aaron doesn't have it last as long. I mean, it's a Squadron Supreme. If a comic came out right now, you would not think of that shitty Heroes Reborn thing that Jason Aaron did because nobody cared.
Everybody had already checked out on Jason Aaron by a third of the way through his Avengers shit. I'm talking about his effect on Doctor Strange, his effect on the X-Men, his effect on Thor.
I couldn't even tell you what he did with Doctor Strange, to be honest with you.
He basically killed magic.
Did he create was he the writer when they introduced the dog and the librarian, or was that somebody else?
The librarian, yes. I don't remember about the dog. I checked out.
I think Tom King just poisons everything he does at this point. Own it.
I think that the fun play is that every time he does a book and poisons it, you need like 7 other miniseries to try to write the ship again. It's the evil plan. You just keep selling these other series off of what he ruined.
But I mean, but seriously though, like ever since then, they have tried so hard to bring Wally West back. And yes, Jeremy Adams is doing a good job with the character, but he doesn't have the fan support behind him because they're so burnt. It's interesting because when Tom King first came onto the scene, and he's got a good skill. Like I think his problem is he's kind of a one-trick pony. He came in, he had something to say, and he said it in his books. And he would tear characters down, but he didn't completely destroy characters. But he also made a point to build them back up within a relatively reasonable amount of time. And then it's like after he proved himself, he just decided like, how far can I take things? And that almost seems like it's his mission is that now instead of.
I think he's very insecure as a writer, absolutely. And even the whole deal where if you praise him for something, that'll be the new trope for the next series and stuff.
Yeah, let's hear for the peoples. We got some super chats. Common Sense says Tom King is the one who defined to ruin Wally West. Jeremy Adams is the one defined to save Wally West. Lagoon Boy remembers his death in Titans East.
Yeah.
Lagoon Boy did die.
It's a shame that so much work has to be done to repair. That is the shame. Yeah. And somebody asks, like, if somebody does damage, can you really repair? You can. It makes it so much harder. And you have to super commit.
And then even Williamson was trying to undo some of the stuff in his Flash run when he wrapped it up.
And then you had the annual with Jeremy Adams in this current Flash run. You just keep trying. The problem is that even to this day, like Heroes in Crisis is beyond anything I've ever witnessed of talking to people and them saying, I'm never reading a DC comic again, let alone a Flash comic. I ended up on one of your videos, Wes, arguing with a guy, not arguing, but saying, just give Jeremy Adams a chance. This book is what you would want. They don't want to. They won't listen. They're done.
I did.
So the fastest way you repair Heroes in Crisis, and it would be pretty simple, but it's DC comes out, whoever this new leader comes out and says, hey, we're doing this new stuff. We have these new writers. We're putting face forward, and I know you guys, you comic fans, you love continuity and we want to make everything count, but we have to face facts. Some stuff's not going to count. Just like the Elseworld series, some of this stuff's not going to count. So definitively, we're saying right now, Heroes in Crisis did not exist in the DC universe. It was an Elseworld story. It doesn't matter. I know that causes some chaos in some other books. Sorry, please just try not to think about it. And nobody's going to love that answer. But they'll love that answer. They won't like that aspect, but they'll love that answer. Just forget it. Just that we're scraping it from our history. It's done. We're moving forward.
That and Bendis. Boom, done.
Problem that they're going to always have with ever doing that is they don't want to hurt the delicate egos of the shit writers they hire. It's the reason why they won't do it with all the damage that Jason Aaron's done. The reason why they won't do it with all the damage that Tom King's done, because then they're gonna alienate those shit writers that they keep relying on and keep thinking can sell.
They could just have the heroes in Crisis Omniverse Earth, where everybody goes, gets depressed, and kills each other. There you go.
You couldn't
Wade
do it
Kramer
with
says,
this.
Perch,
Go ahead.
your New Mutants 30 video, you did a Doc impersonation. Is that true?
It was just awful. It was an awful comic. I mean, truly an awful. I had people writing me, one guy in particular. Well, you all
I
know
didn't
what
read
I'm
it. Is
talking
it that
about.
bad?
Oh, it was the worst comic of the month, but hands down, it was awful. I had somebody write me, go, hey, I'm usually the negative one, but your way, you probably went too far here. And then like a couple hours later, it's like, oh, I read it. Yeah, no, you didn't go far enough. That was such a shitty book. And then they did
That
a
was
video
Daniel,
too.
or is that Vita?
That was all Vita, yeah.
I know Danny's taken over. Soonish.
No, Danny's off too. We've got a temporary
It's
writer
canceled in
who's
January. Yes.
they've got a trans writer who's coming in to do the new trans character they introduced in
Charlie
Pride.
Jane Andrews.
Yes, Charlie J. Basic again. IO9.
But it's a short bit, and then they'll figure out what's going on. But anyway,
Common says, I'm scared Tom King will do it again in Danger Street.
yep,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you should be.
yeah,
I don't
He
think
will.
anybody will care.
it'll have less of an impact for sure.
Yeah.
Comics Exposed, late to the show, but did any of you read this week's Marvel's or Crypt of Shadows #1 from Marvel? Also, Doc, Jerry Duggan loves you and died for your soul.
He died. Good. Never mind.
He died for
I
your
can't
soul.
say good. That'd be.
I did not read Crypt of Shadows.
Oh,
That's an anthology book.
Was
Not
it
very
good?
good.
I don't read anthologies.
I'm gonna assume his means it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't great.
Expecting something. All right. I think we're done here, fellas. Let's start talking about the best comic books of the week and do some recommendations. Then we'll finish this bad boy up. Perch, it was good having you back. Sounds like you're gonna be back. That'll be very exciting. What comic books are you recommending this week?
Yeah, there's a lot of. I think the Penguin One Bad Day story is probably the best one of the batch that we've had so far, and it takes a different turn. I think it's, if you like that format, like that idea of going deeper, it doesn't try and redefine who the character is. It doesn't go with there's weird aspects to it, but everybody more or less tries to stay who they are. Penguin, has an interesting twist in there that's actually kind of different around that, isn't true, but you see how his mind worked. But it's not a terrible book. I like World's Finest. I'm on the DC bit right now. I think, for all the other stuff about Wade, that is an enjoyable book that he's putting out at the moment. The Flash is a lot of fun right now, for sure. I like Deceased. I'm naming all these writers everybody gets pissed about, but those are all good books. Gunslinger Spawn is still a fun book. I like seeing Brett Booth on things. It's just, I'm sorry, I just enjoy it. Above Snakes on Image was not too bad, like that. It was a rougher time for Marvel. That I know it's supposed to be good books, but man, how can you take The Vault, which is kind of the one real interesting story that Hickman had going on, and do what they're doing right now? Jesus, I don't know why.
I'm not reading X-Men right now. I'm taking a break.
Yeah, Miracle Man was fun. The #1 issue, and Carnage just doing some fun stuff. There's books out there. It was weirdly, there's a couple big stinkers in the week, but there were more good books than bad books for me this week.
All right, Perch, what you got going on at the channel? Do you have any interviews or special exposés that people should be looking out for in the next few days?
No, it's just all bullshit on my channel. That's I'm gonna start doing my voice is slowly repairing, so almost back to normal. And then get some interviews going. There's a lot of projects going, but excited to keep talking stuff, and it's fun. A lot of you guys ask good questions, and I like answering them. So that's what we got going on.
Very nice. Who else we got? We got Jim. Who you recommend this week? Any good comics?
I'm gonna say the same as Perch mainly. The Penguin story was cool. This One Bad Day gimmick type of deal, you kind of got to get past that, but it's a really good story. I love the side characters that ended up, joining up with the Penguin. And also I'll go, to give Eric a little shout out. We'll go Flash with a little wrestling going on. Kind of the deal, we already have Do a Powerbomb, which is awesome. So why not get more wrestling in other comics? But those are probably my two recommendations.
Very nice. We'll be looking out for the Weird Science podcast. And if you're a Patreon, if you support them there, you can get some inside scoop. We had a good one last week that was delivered from Gabe. So that was a lot of fun. We got Kenneth Dowling, Batman, the Night #10. Fitting into a great series, this was not another year one retread like originally thought. It's a solid tale of Batman's trading.
Yeah, I think this story got derailed by this Bleeding Cool article. It's like this reveals that Bruce Wayne was gay or whatever. But I mean, as you read this comic, I still don't see it. And I know everybody's like, well, you got to read between the lines. I don't see it.
Yeah. Wasn't a bad series. Chips and Odyssey's doing a really good job on Batman. That last issue of Batman was hot. That was one of maybe the best single issue I've read all year. If it wasn't redoing the same storylines, it would be even better. Thank you very much, Kenneth. Have back in the house. Who else we got? We got Sully, the Sultan of Soup. Are you recommending Super Comics this week? Both?
I'm recommending both. I got a couple of picks in my hand. I went to the comic book store just yesterday. I caught up on Dark Crisis #5. You saw me roll it up and put it in my back pocket. I enjoyed it because I don't have any expectations, and it's like a big popcorn movie. And I love Nightwing. I love Dick Grayson. So yeah, I'm pleased with it so far. It's whatever. It doesn't have any consequences. I don't care. I'm having fun, and that's all that matters. I'm going to suggest Flash 787. It's a standalone issue. This is fresh off the shelf. I mean, yep, Gabe.
Okay.
I know, I'm kidding. But this was fun. It's a wrestling homage. It's a Saturday morning thing. It shows Wally and with the kids and having a good time. And this is a really and Fernando Passarin's art in this is just really stellar. I mean, Wally looks very heroic. This is a superhero comic book for superhero comic books fans. I also picked this up. This is called Cheap Tricks, and it's by Bad Kids Press. This is an indie comic book made by my local comic book shop. And I thought it was really paper quality is great. The cover's great. The art's cute. It's a nice story. It works. And it made me happy to buy something from my comic book shop. And the last thing I got a Gemini mailer. And I got my copy of Inglorious Rex from Shane Davis and Yanzi Lin. The best part about it was opening this up. It was the middle of the week. I had a terrible day at work, man. And I came home and I opened this up. And it was just so fun because they have all these like stickers and trading cards. Dude, there's a lenticular trading card. And I was like, I literally got to high five my 9-year-old me in me, just like, dude, this is so fun. And so it brought back that the fun in comic books. And I really appreciate that. I love Shane's art. I'm looking forward to reading this, both of them. And yeah. And Wes, thank you once again for having me on. This is great. I have fun with you guys. This is great.
Awesome. We got Kenneth one more time. Had a great time today with you guys. Nice having on the Perch back on the panel. I have some good fights for you next week. I'll get the bracket ready. Josh, peace. Well, thank you very much for supporting the channel, Kenneth. And Kenneth will be back on the channel next week. I believe he and Gervain.
Kenneth is great. Kenneth is great.
Absolutely. That dude loves comic books more than, well, maybe more than me. I'm not really sure. Josh, what do you recommend?
I'm going to kind of sound like a broken record. So pretty much everything Perch mentioned, I would say they're kind of top crop. The other two books that I picked up this week were Silver Coin. Michael Walsh is back to writing, and it's consistently a pretty solid book. You've got some issues here, almost at episodes, issues here and there that aren't great, but for the most part, it's a fun read if you like horror. I won't say fun. It's a solid read if you like horror. Other than that, I picked up Moon Knight. I'm still kind of chugging along with it. So those are the only two new additions I'd give to the ranks.
Very nice. Happy Steve says, by the way, the dark ages of TMNT seem to be over for the time being. Armageddon game seems to be really good. I've enjoyed all the issues so far. Thoughts? I haven't read that one. I kind of gave up on TMNT.
No, it's solid. It's solid.
Good? Is that Tom Waltz again, right?
Who is writing that?
I believe it is.
It's good, and that it goes to just to give some hope. And by the way, somebody said, Eric's enthusiasm infectious. Absolutely, that's awesome. Love to see it. Josh, you see some really happy people here. And then we'll get to Doc. But no, I'm just kidding. But it is
right.
Comics do they come and they go. So even if your comic really sucks right now, as a longtime X-Men fan, obviously I'm suffering the dark valley of the X-Men. Yes, I do have faith it will get better. They tend to always get better. If I look at the 50-year history of comics, they do tend to get better. And nice to see, TMNT is better right now. So I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts.
Very nice. Maybe we'll have to check that one out. All right, Doc, you're grumpy. You woke up on the wrong side of the bed and you got a bad attitude. Are you recommending any comic books?
I'm recommending comics. I'm just not recommending anything produced in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah, anything specific that you think?
Yes.
Hey, people like this.
I know I've talked about my love of Wildcats version 3.0 before, but and the original volume of Wildcats is really good, but there's one that I think always gets lost, and that's Wildcats volume 2. It was 28 issues. It was kind of a really good bridge between the more capes and tights superhero stuff of volume 1 and the much more Black Ops corporation as a superhero craziness of volume 3 that really kind of influenced the way that mid 2000s and up through about 2010 comics were written for superheroes, kind of the aging it up. And I think that Wildcats Volume 2 is really fucking good. You get Travis Charest art, you get handful of other really solid artists. Sean Phillips kind of comes in and really takes it in a different direction. You started off with Scott Lobdell, then you get Joe Casey taking it over after maybe 6 or 7 issues and really kind of moving it into the future. It's a great fucking story, and I highly, highly recommend it. If you're kind of wondering how you go from Wildcats Volume 1 to Wildcats version 3.0, if you've read those two and you're like, these feel like totally different books, this is the one that kind of segued. It was a very great transitional title, so go check that out.
Nice.
28 issues. You could find it in the back issue bins relatively cheap. I don't think any of the books are terribly expensive, but they're very, very good.
Yep.
Very nice. Finally, we've got Sean Gordon Murphy. I don't like Bleeding Cool. How do I get them to stop covering my books, sniping me on Twitter, and trying to sneak reporters into my panel discussions and events?
You send John Wick in.
Send John Wick in. He always finds a way.
That's exactly what you do.
No. What you do is you put the buffet in somebody else's panel, and then Rich Johnson will end up distracted by that.
But what if he's got a restraining order against the people there?
Exactly. That's what you
Or sorry, they have against him. I messed that up. Sean, good to see you. And now Sean's giving us some money, so give Sean some money and buy his series. That is a great, not this week, but great. That is a great comic. It is a great series.
Really appreciate that. And,
Love you, Sean.
Maybe all press is good press, but I'm with you. Bleeding Cool is probably not going to do much good for you.
No, I don't think many people like Bleeding Cool, and the ones that do have, very little people at Bleeding Cool don't have much self-worth. So let's just put it that way. So if they're attacking you, it says something about your character, for one. And I would say do as many interviews as you can outside of that.
Yeah.
That way
that is true. You can judge a man by the quality of his enemies, and
And you could set up a couple interviews with them, lie completely about absolutely everything, and make them look terrible.
I think at least, how many restraining orders? I think at least 4 that I know of.
Ooh. I know of a couple. I didn't know about 4.
Yeah.
That guy. Mr. DC Comics. He says Junkyard Joe by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank is good. The Flash, Black Adam, Action Comics, Deathstroke, and the new Joker book by Rosenberg is off to a good start. Batman the Night was great. Superman needs a book like that.
Yeah. Junkyard Joe, the Jeff Johns, that was a fun book.
It looked really damn good. Like, I miss Gary Frank's art.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the Action Comics Warworld saga? It just lasted 2 months too long for me, Perch.
I liked it. I like Philip Kennedy Johnson. I like what he's doing there. I think it suffered from it clearly was a book DC didn't feel like they needed to market because they didn't. And I think that was a problem. And then they bounced around on the artists a few times, which always irks me. I mean, just let the guy tell an epic and just tell the epic as it is. I think that always kind of hurt it. And I think those things made it feel too long because you DC would market and promote all this other stuff, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, that thing's still going on. And so you turn your attention back to it. And it's a shame. I think I miss long storylines like that. I want the publishers to feel confident that with their 80 odd books a month, they could have at least 2 that are doing year-long storylines. So I'd like to see more of that. And unfortunately, the way this one kind of rolled out, I think it hurt that. So,
well, and killing Superman off before the book was over is like, why am I reading it kind of thing? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it suffered from all this other stuff. I mean, unfortunately, what should have been a good, solid epic, and Johnson could do one hell of a good epic. And then you're just like, but over here he's dead in Dark Crisis, and over here we're focusing on his son and these shenanigans over here, and it's like they every single minute they try to give attention to something else, and I think that sucked.
If you don't think that was intentional, I have a bridge to sell you. They needed John off planet, and they needed Clark off planet, and they also needed his book to get forgotten about so that they could try to shove John Kent down our throat.
So that I get it. I get how that makes sense. But again, we got done talking about how the editors are not very good at their jobs, how these are not genius planners.
But
you really have to commit to the idea that they're smart enough to have that kind of plan, and they're able to roll out
there's a lot of them that have already admitted it. It's the state. They have to shove they've admitted
hey, Doc,
they have to shut things off.
Daddy
stage.
need to eat.
Okay.
Daddy's hungry.
Yeah.
HH also is in the house. Thank you very much. And big shout out to Sean Gordon Murphy for watching the show. I hope you enjoyed that. And definitely be looking out for the latest issue of Batman Beyond the White Knight next week. It's going to be awesome. Issue number 6 hits the shelves. And yes, that was the real Sean Gordon Murphy. We will see you all next week here. Right on the Thinking Critical.
We had several comic writers who were watching the show today, and appreciate all the text. So thank you, Sean, for actually coming out and supporting the show, and the rest of you guys should too sometime.
Really appreciate that.